ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Surreal Melbourne with myself, Waffles, and my co-host,
The Blay.
So, today we have a guest that has caught my attention, I think now maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I first saw him at Esoteric Festival. He got up and he started doing a stand-up routine, which was, I don't know, could have been a 30-minute, maybe 30-minute, anyways, whatever it was. It made me laugh. It made a lot of people laugh. It had a lot of great racial jokes, which I really vibe with because I come from a country where we have a lot of those ethnicities. So I really related to a lot of the jokes you had. So today with us, we've got Dan Angelo, or is it Dahn Rozario, or two of the above, whatever.
Well, you can call me whatever the fuck you want, bro.
Dan
Rozario. Yeah.
Officially Dan Rozario,
Dan Rozario.
Known locally on Instagram as Dan Angelo. D'Angelo.
Yeah.
It's a fake name. Dan. My name's Daniel Rozario.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in high school, we had this dumb cunt, mate. We were in a band.
Yeah.
And one of the guitarists, for some reason, started dating this chick from like the South, like this rich bitch. So he started saying, "Oh, hey, Dan." So we were like, "Who the fuck is Dan?" Like, it was just like a weird nickname. So to make fun of him, we're like, "Oh, Dan." Oh. And then Instagram came out in 2011. So we were in high school. So when Instagram came out, to piss him off, I called my Instagram name Dahn Rozario. But because I'm Indian, everyone thought it was like sing, like a silent H. So people just went with it. And then my Instagram took off and now everyone thinks I'm fucking Dan.
I'm Dan.
Yeah.
Oh, it's me, Dan.
I like it when people call me Dan though.
You want us to call you Dan?
I like it because if somebody comes up the street and goes, "Oh, hey, are you Dan?"
Yeah.
I know they don't know me. So it's helpful.
Yeah.
Someone goes, "Hey, Dan."
You're screening the fakes from the reals.
Yes,
Yeah.
Which is hard in this modern day society,
bro.
man. You
A
know
lot
what
of
I
fake
mean?
dogs.
There's a lot of fake people out there that are out to either snatch your purse or just, get a quick sort of bit of satisfaction for themselves.
Yeah. Oh, not only that, it's just like, when you bump into someone, you don't know if you know them and they just know something about you. Like, what the fuck? That happens like every day. So
Kind of like us.
Yeah. Like if I bumped into you on the street like 6 months ago, we know each other.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you told me, so blah, blah. If you didn't tell me, you're like, "Hey man, how are you?" I'd be like, "Oh fuck, how do I know this guy?"
Yeah, did I rob this guy or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Did I buy anything from you? Something like that. Yeah.
I was at Enchanted Garden party and just like on like bumping into strangers or whatever. There's a mate of mine, Phil Kirsch, and he goes out to parties pretty often and stuff like that. And this guy comes up to me, he's like, "Hey man, oh, you're that guy from that time, like, do you remember me? It's me, Fernando." And he's just like, "Sorry, bro. Like, I don't actually remember you." But I remember a couple times that day, like people just came up to him being like, "Oh, like trying to like build that connection." And he's just like, "Oh man, I'm sorry, but like, I don't actually remember."
It's awkward when you see someone on the dance floor and you're looking at them, they're looking at you, and you're just like, I feel like I've partied with that person before, but it's been like 10 years and I just can't remember their name. I'm just not going to go say hello. But then they're looking at you probably like going, "Why isn't this person not saying hello? Why is he being rude?" And then it's like, "Hey, it's me." I'm like, "Bob?"
The guy.
Dude, that happened to me recently. I was just like telling this guy, "Oh yeah, what is his name? Bob?" He's like, "It is actually." "Oh, true. Hey, Bobby, what's up?" And it's like, I actually do know you.
So I get people coming up to me and saying hi, and they don't even know who the fuck I am. They're like, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And they're like, "Yeah, you're that guy, aren't you?" I'm like, if you don't know me, fuck off. Like, if you don't like actually care about the comedy that I do, then why are you saying hi? It's just like this weird, like you know my face. So I fucking hate that shit, man.
He was like, "What?" And it was like, "What do you mean you're that guy?"
Yeah.
What? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's been...
Everyone's that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's the main character of their movie.
Exactly. But it's funny because, it's just kind of like, again, they're doing it more to be like seen or like try and kind of like, because that's the thing about the social media angle, right? They might have just been scrolling through and like seen like one of your things or something, and then they're like, "Oh, you're the guy from the thing," but it's like, yeah, I don't know, because everyone's got this like 1 second sort of attention span.
Man, it's funny because when before doing this podcast, I was like telling people, "Oh, we're going to do this podcast with a stand-up comic," and it's like, "Oh yeah, who?" And I'm like, "Oh, this guy does all the Instagram videos and stuff like that. You would have seen it. It's pretty hilarious. All these like little skits and stuff." And like, it's like Dan Angelo or Dahn Angelo. Like, "Oh," and then I pull the Instagram video up, the Instagram channel account, whatever, and be like, oh yeah, that guy's hilarious. Or like, yeah. And I'm just like, remember the name, you know? Because like I look at that and I'm like, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of editing. That's a lot of fucking commitment to.
Not really.
No,
it takes 20 minutes to do.
which is probably why you got so many of them. Then you know,
It's easy to, you just need to do like. I'm not doing it now because it's comedy festival and I'm juggling right now. Melbourne Comedy Festival's on right now.
Yeah.
But you just do like, I do 4 a week minimum. Just put them out. Sometimes you forget a week. Sometimes you can't be fucked, but you just do 4 a week.
Yeah,
it's kind of like going to the gym. Sometimes you go to the gym and it's a really good day at the gym and you beat a personal best and you feel really good. Your body's like, great. Sometimes you go to the gym, you're like, I'm doing bare minimum just to say I went to the fucking gym. I'm going to go home and I'm going to eat a fucking donut. So sometimes I make a video and I'll be like, what do I actually want to say? Like that, the last one I sat and be like, okay, what do I want to say? I call my friend, brainstorming, was the vape one. Did you see the vape one?
Is that the one with the Will Smith and he's just showing that to me before,
Oh,
like
no.
with the vape slapping Will Smith.
Yeah, when it's like my vape after the door. That's what was funny.
That was
It's like a
just
green apple.
Yeah, that's great. Double apples is the best, man.
Double apple's good.
Can I
Nice.
vape in here?
Yeah,
Yeah, totally, man.
Brother.
Fuck, we should get shisha in here, double apple.
That'd be
That's
mad.
pretty Arab of you, bro.
But no, fucking. I made this video. It was when everyone got COVID that sort of week in New Year's time.
Yeah.
And I was telling Alessio, my best man, I was like, I want to make a video. I want to say something. Everyone I know has got COVID. What about if it was like everyone got COVID? How? Because they were sharing vapes around.
Yeah.
And he goes, how would you do it? And I was like, well, what would you do? Like, I play with it. And then I filmed it and it just went off. It just went off on Facebook, went off on TikTok, and it went off on Instagram.
Yeah.
I got like 1,000 followers from it.
Wow.
That's a video that you're like, okay, I planned, I implemented. It's like a movie. There's pre-production, there's production, there's post-production.
Post-production, yeah.
So if that was what I did. But then there's some of these, I wake up, I'm like, if I don't make a video today, I'm going to shoot myself because I'm going to hate myself.
Yeah.
So I'll just be like, hey, man, fucking die. And I'll put up, it'll bomb. Like, I still did it.
Yeah.
For the sake of it, you know?
You put like 10 out of 10. It's like 2 of them hit the mark and the other end. But it's more so about you getting into the habit of doing this thing, right?
It's just a flex of every rep counts, you know?
Yeah. That's a good fucking approach to I guess creativity in general, you know?
Well, in the comedy scene, there's 2 realms. When I started anyway, I started comedy in 2018 properly.
Yeah.
And I started doing stand-up and you're just doing open mics. You do open mics and there's like 10 gigs you can do every week. So we just started doing these gigs. And I noticed there were some comedians on the internet. There was like Shooter Williamson, Lewis Spears, Luke Kidgel.
Shooter Williamson, yeah, he's
big
funny.
internet comedians who don't do stand-up. They do one gig or they do their solo tour once a year and they don't perform every week. And I'm like, why am I gigging every day? And then there's the stand-up community. And the stand-up community are purists of stagecraft. They just want to get famous off that. And then there's these online cunts who just want to blow up and shit. And I was like, why don't you, like, no one's doing both. No one does a gig every day and makes a video every day. And if you do, you talk to the comedians, why do you hate the online? They're fucking fakes. They don't perform anymore. They don't care about stand-up. They just want to be famous. Okay, cool.
Yeah, the purists, yeah.
Talk to the content guys. Oh, those guys aren't famous. They don't fucking make any money. They're stupid, wasting their time. So I was like, how about I just do both? So I put out a video every day and I fucking do minimum a gig one night. That's it. Last night I did 4. So, you know, and I think I might be the first like hybrid in Melbourne anyway. Who's like actively doing gigs every fucking day. Like New York City shit. And also making content, has a podcast, building a YouTube, making money from that shit. You have to be both. It's silly to say the other. You know? Like these cunts are too lazy to get up their ass and do a gig to 3 people. But these people are too lazy to make a TikTok each day, which is like, you need to have both in this current age, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And I'm not surprised as well that, you know, like that's how you've been able to build like such a good base as well. Because I think there comes a point when you realize you're like, ¿por qué no los dos? You know, like why can't we just do both? And like when you do fuse both, it's ultimately better. And I find it interesting about that process as well, that sometimes, you know, like you've got some throwaway stuff that you make that you're like, oh, it might hit, it might not, you know what I mean? But like the stuff that you plan, you know what I mean? Like the vape vid really hits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's not about, what I found, this is the shit part about the content thing, the stuff that is like bad for art and like creative process is that the algorithm will bless you the more you post.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like when you're making albums, like I don't want Kendrick Lamar to drop an album that's shit. If you're working on a project and you don't think it's ready, don't release that shit. I don't want to fucking hear a shit album. But with TikToks, the algorithm goes, the more you post, the more followers you'll have. So we got to post shit.
All the time.
Sometimes I post a video and people go, that's not funny. I'm like, I don't give a fuck if you don't think this is funny. I need the algorithm on my side, so I'm going to post every day.
Yeah.
That's it. And it sucks that it should be like that. A more artistic approach would be like quality wins.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
on the internet, the way the TikTok and the YouTube and the Facebook and the Instagram algorithms work, it's about who's putting out the most shit.
Yeah.
And serving up hits like Nourishment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that kind of stuff as well. And yeah, it's crazy because that's the way that you bend the algorithms to your will.
Yeah.
Aside from them controlling it, is that you, like flood the feeds or whatever. You got to saturate it. And because you're not the only one that's saturating that market. That's the thing.
100%.
Like, big comedians who do big sold out shows and stuff like that, like they've built themselves up from like that grassroots, going in and out of the comedy shows and stuff like that. But the way you win in this market is to just saturate.
Totally. My friend Cam, she told it to me. She's like, she's a model. She got signed like last year or something as a model for some agency. But before that, she was just a hot bitch on Instagram. She had like 15K followers.
Try my new perfume.
And she was like, I looked it up. I watched a couple of YouTube videos how to do it. And they said, post 3 times a day.
That's what my ex-wife used to tell me, yeah.
And she was like, I can't do that, number one. Like, my friends are going to hate me. And she was like, fuck it. So she started doing it. All her friends were like muting her. At one point, I was like, fuck, she posts a lot. I had friends being like, oh my God, she posts so much. I don't know if I can follow her anymore. She tells you, within like a year, she's on 100K followers.
Damn.
And now she's like a model and makes good fucking money making. She's like, I just sucked dick for 1 year pushing it. It doesn't matter if, like, when I started posting TikToks, I had like boys messaging me like, bro, you're embarrassing yourself. What are you doing?
No way, really?
Yeah, because your first couple of videos suck. They were like, bro, what are you doing? That's not funny. What are you doing?
People you know are just randoms.
Like homies.
Yeah.
They were like, bro, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, bro, you're going to post every day. And they're like, yeah, but bro, sometimes you got to think like, sometimes like, it's like you're overkill. And I was like, oh, good, bro. And now I got like, that's another, I got 10K now.
Yeah.
People like, brother, I'm so proud of you. Jeez, you man.
Yeah. As soon as you're like, fucking, dude, this is an experiment. What are you doing? Stop. You don't know, so shut the fuck up and let me.
Posting's weird because the more you post, you are annoying people sometimes.
Yeah.
I know because I fucking hate cunts who post a lot and I'm like, fuck, this guy sucks. But in the grand scheme of things, it's the only way to build is just to spam it out there.
One thing I found interesting about social media as well is when people use it like a diary. You know what I mean? Like they're posting these like deep, insightful, like introspective, like moments of change in their life or like whatever. And I'm just like, whoa, like good on you for being brave enough to let everyone read something like that introspective about yourself. But when, like, as you say, you know what I mean? Like it's really a lot of it. You are right. You sort of say, oh.
Well, it's just whatever's, for that kind of person, that's the authentic expression of self, But, from a comedian's point of view, the point at the end of the day of a comedian is to make you laugh, is to make you think also,
Well, that's the thing I've recently realized. Like whenever I'm selling something, like if I've got tickets to something and I'm pushing really hard to sell the tickets. If I'm pushing to, hey guys, I'm doing this gig. I'd love you to come. I go fine. But no one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
And I realized the best way to do it is to not even mention that I'm selling something and just put out like 6 videos that week that are all fire and it'll sell out.
Yeah.
Because funny means buy. Instead of going, hey guys, can you come buy me? Support young aunt. They don't give a fuck. But if I put out a funny doof TikTok, and then it'll sell out anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like funny is like my way of asking, come buy my show.
Yeah.
It's weird how it works like that.
I think it's a good strategy though, man.
It's like if everyone was following some hot chick, some fucking one of these BBL looking chicks.
What does that stand for? BBL?
Brazilian butt lift.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They've got big donks, basically.
If she was selling something,
Nicki Minaj's,
if she was about to release some sunglasses, she wouldn't go and be like, hey guys, I'm selling my sunglasses. No one gives a fuck about that. That week, she would just post a sexy series of photos.
Yeah.
Instagram would pop and then whatever happens, her voice is her sexiness.
One of them being the lotion balancing on her butt.
Yes.
And her just looking at it like, would you tap?
Yeah. And me in the DMs, what are you doing tomorrow, bro?
I'm a comedian. I can make the edge with the comedy, man.
Don't bring my bag. You just chuck us my bag for a second.
100%.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's funny because, man, I always have this thing where I'm really about dopamine fasting We were talking about this before the show. How with booze and drugs and all that. How you say you don't drink and you don't participate. And a big part of it is you say that you wanted to get your sort of natural dopamine from gigs, and that kind of like a dopamine response would help build habitual systems. And if you're constantly you were saying this earlier, you constantly go to gigs, and like not comedy gigs, but music gigs, and you're talking to girls or you're talking whatever, it's really pushing a different part of your brain to seek a certain kind of reward system that isn't serving you as a comedian. You know what I mean? But
it's like if you have one cookie, you'll be thinking about that cookie for 2 months.
Yeah.
Like if I fucking go and it's like this, a perfect example. There's a place in Preston called Takeaway Pizza. You guys know Takeaway Pizza?
Love that joint, man.
Fucked.
Shit, am I going to go?
So good. Man, those pizzas, the creativity.
The salami honey pizza.
Oh,
salami honey pizza.
That pizza fucks my whole day up.
Yeah.
If I have that pizza at 11 a.m., I will be thinking about that pizza for the next week.
I want to go get this.
Yeah, you got to go, bro.
I stay the fuck away from this joint.
Yeah.
Because I go there, I have one, and I'll be having it in 2 weeks and in 3 weeks. But if I stop going there and go, don't go there, I won't think about it.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. Like if I go to Electric, chasing some chick, and we're there, we have a good night, and we have a show, and then someone's like, brother, do you want to come have a bump with me, bro? I'll fucking love you. The next weekend, I'll be like, oh, what did I do last weekend? That was so fun. Oh, next week. Last night, I did 4 gigs. And at 11 p.m., me and the comedians were hanging out. We got a fucking slice of pizza hanging out. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to go home. And I remember when I went home, I'm like, oh my God, if this was 6 months ago, I'd be at Electric.
Yeah.
But because I've been staying away, I've been good. You train yourself into these good habits of, you don't need to go somewhere because your body doesn't know that there's something pleasureful there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My body goes, do the gig. That's where the pleasure is. Do the gig. I'll go watch a show because it's comedy festival. I've been watching a lot of other people's shows.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a good way to be right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why cunts like fucking, like, I don't know, my friend Joe Green, he's doing comedy festival. He's doing like 2 weeks every night. And maybe a month before comedy festival or 2 months, I went up to him, I'm like, how are you, because we help each other with our shows and stuff. We're like, what are you doing to prepare for your show? It's an hour show, right? How are you going to market it? What are you going to make a series of TikToks to promote it? What is it? He's like, no, I'm going to the Himalayas. I was like, what? He's like, he went to the Himalayas for a month and a half.
Oh, like in Nepal. Yeah, yeah.
He just fucked off. And he's like, I came back. He's like, I'm just ready to do comedy every now for 1 hour.
No doubt. Got into a real Zen's mode of space, clear the mind. Because, man, that's the thing about comedy, right? Like, there is an acute level of genius. Like, there is definitely sort of like, your smuttier jokes or like whatever, and it can be really lowbrow. But even then, the stuff that hits, like sometimes it's always got to be clever. And like, that's one of my favorite things about comedy, you know what I mean? It's sort of like this duality of light and shade, where it's sort of like exploring the darker areas of our like psyches and stuff, but like through the avenue of like making people laugh. And but also, it's just.
And you have to be in a very specific state to be able to channel that kind of feeling.
Absolutely. I'm not surprised he got Zen and did that.
So cheesy to say.
Yeah, no.
It's energy on stage is the number one thing.
Yeah.
Like even like I've heard Jerry Seinfeld say this. He's like, don't sit down if you're about to go on. He's like, if you're on next, you stand the fuck up.
Yeah.
And you move your arms because you want the flow to start. Like it's almost like the fucking chi,
chi, life force energy. Yeah.
You don't want your fucking body. If I was on next, I wouldn't be sitting like this.
Yeah.
And I do cooked shit. I've fucked rituals before giggy.
Yeah, yeah.
Number one, I make myself need to go to take a piss. So like when I'm on stage, I'm busting. Because that energy is like,
it's true. You've been anxious, we're like,
you need to be a little bit anxious.
Yeah, yeah. You need to be a little bit nervous.
If you're about to walk on stage and you go, I'm going to crush, you will bomb.
Yeah.
Confidence doesn't exist in this fucking art form.
Yeah.
It's about being, I'm going to bomb, I suck. That is good. That means you're going to go well.
Yeah, yeah.
And like me, like I even tell the guy who's like the MC, I'm like, hey, I'm going to be over there and I'm going to trick myself. So when you say my name, I'm going to be like, oh, I'm late. And I'll run to the stage. Like that little thing makes me funny.
Yeah.
Little things like that make the energy flow differently.
Did you, is that something that you developed on your own or you actually, like you said, like you just got it from listening to other comedians?
I figured it out intuitively.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I do so many gigs, like when I first started comedy, I was just like, okay, I'm going to do comedy. My friend Alessio, had already been doing it for a year.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, how many gigs do we need to do a week? And he goes, well, everyone in the scene, mostly does like 4 or 5. So I said, okay, I'm going to do 10 a week. Just because I'm just going to do whatever everyone is doing, I'm going to do the double.
Yeah.
So because I was doing so many gigs early on, I just got it. I know, like I've never had time off comedy since I started. I've never had I think the longest I had 2 weeks off.
That is awesome, man.
Huge, dude. But that's the thing, man. You know what I mean? I think, it's the similar, they say the Mamba mentality. Any sort of successful person ever will tell you that nose to the grindstone and getting it done, working hard and locking in and focusing. It's okay, I've got a dream. What steps do I need to do it? It's self-discipline to motivate yourself to push. And it's that constant thing, man, especially in creative fields. You have to, you know what I mean? And it's, you got people hating on you for doing what you do or whatever. There's a lot of noise, but it's all exterior.
And then you're successful and then they're going.
Especially with gigs, people always yeah, but what if I bomb? Or how do you feel after a bomb? It's I don't have time to worry about the bomb.
Yeah.
When I've bombed, I've got 2 gigs that night. I don't have fucking time to sit there and be I bombed. I got to rush off to the next gig. And people go I bombed, so I had to take a week off. I'm you're a fucking idiot. The best way to get over a bomb is to do another gig.
Yeah.
You do 3 gigs a night and you will stop giving a fuck about when you bomb.
Dude, I had this similar experience at SO where I had 3 sets and I'm haven't played a festival in a while. Even though thank God it was an 11 a.m. set and there wasn't a lot of people. But just the night before, I was oh, fuck, that MC is sick. And I go backstage and the MC's there. I was hey, bro, what's up? And he's oh, hey, man, I remember you. Yeah, sick. And then it's so what are you doing? What are you doing here? He's oh, I'm playing. He's oh. He's do you need an MC? I was yep. I'm extending this story, but it's so he jumps on stage with me the next day and I had to change a lot of my set and sort of put a lot of instrumental tracks so he could rap on. But then when I got there, the fucking laptop won't open because it's a 12-year. All these little things kept happening and I'm just fuck, I thought I was prepared for this, but I'm so underprepared. Yeah. And I missed it was late in the game of mixing. So you're sort of it wasn't a train wreck, but it wasn't the best mix. And the first 30 minutes, I'm just kind of fucking, it would be the equivalent of not bombing, train wrecking is probably getting booed off stage. Yeah. You know
that
what
doesn't
I mean?
happen though.
That does. Oh, you don't get booed off stage.
No one gets.
It's just a quiet room, man.
Yeah.
There's no laughs. That's the worst thing.
Little tumbleweed, just
quiet.
I love I've been booed before. That's fucking. You're still getting something.
Yeah, that's a reaction.
It's a good feedback response.
It's just fuck.
But, in that moment, to sort of go back to your point about going and playing another gig. So I did find my fucking stride and then just got back into that flow. I was oh, shit. Yeah, I fucking love doing this. This is right. This is, and then the next set was that 2-hour hip hop. It was an impromptu 2-hour set at this the Hammock Temple. And it was 7 MCs. And it was some of the tightest mixing I've done. But it's that point, it's oh yeah, man, that first one was just a warm up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you get into that second one and you're oh, I'm fucking warmed up. And it's yeah, cool, I bombed. Now I know what not to do.
Yes.
Now I know that joke doesn't hit the spot or, you know what I mean? And it's a great, I think, mentality. It's to go to the generic, it doesn't kill you, makes you sort of stronger, but it's it is.
Yeah.
You got to fucking bomb to know what works and what doesn't. That's the best feedback.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be scared to fail. Failure is growth.
Yeah.
Because then you go, okay, and you grow from that. But it's interesting, man, because especially in comedy, there's a reason why they call it the school of hard knocks, right? You know what I mean? Because you literally have to, and any comedian that's successful, they all have very similar stories. It's man, I was bombing out in local comedy clubs for years, you know what I mean? Or for a while before you kind of, and it's it's almost science. It's, you're testing jokes on different crowds, different places.
I have this thing, so if I do 10 gigs in a week, if 4 of them aren't bombs, I'm doing something wrong.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Because if you're not bombing, you're not taking risks, number one. You're also doing the same set. You figured out what works. You're just doing it the same. It's very counterintuitive to actually getting good at comedy.
Yeah.
If it's Chappelle, have you seen that footage of Chappelle bombing at a football stadium? Recently, 2 years ago. It's him on stage at a fucking football, 15,000 people, silence, boos and shit like this. Every comic bombs, you're never going to get to a place where you don't bomb. You're just going to get where your bottom average bombs are generally pretty high.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
Because I always with Chappelle, I mean, I love how he just rocks up at the Comedy Store and just starts doing a 4-hour routine. And it's completely unrehearsed. And he gets pretty political and stuff. And I'm man, aside from being a comedian, one of the things that makes Chappelle so good is he's just such a good storyteller. And because his I guess not narrative, but his discourse has become, I guess, more politically charged with what's going on in America. And it's very interesting to see the way he looks at the world. And it's like, man, this guy gets it. For me, at least, I share the way he thinks about things. But then I'm also a diehard Chappelle fan.
Yeah.
So I'm biased like that.
Yeah, that's the same thing. Like, Chappelle's done stuff that I haven't liked, but I'm still like, I just like him. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
My fucking mum says some wild shit sometimes. I ask my mum about fucking some shit. I'm like, okay, all right, mum. I still love my mum.
Yeah.
You know? That's why I get so annoyed at people fucking telling off anyone.
Yeah.
Because like, bro, you're not supposed to agree with everyone.
Yeah.
And comedians' jobs aren't to be right. They're to be funny.
Yeah.
And if it's funny, I don't give a fuck about how mean it is. It's like, fucking let them do it. That's how I feel about everything.
Yeah.
All this Will Smith shit pissed me off so much. Man.
Oh, really?
Were you upset at Will Smith, or were you upset at the whole situation? Or
I want to kick Will Smith in the face. I want to piss on his wife's face. Fuck them both. I hope they die in a fucking bus accident.
Damn.
Fuck them.
That's harsh.
People, Chris Rock got slapped on stage for doing his job. He was employed. And that's a corporate gig. The Oscars is a fucking, not a stand-up gig.
Yeah.
You employ a comedian, you fucking defend him when he gets slapped. Some shit cunt slaps him, and still, I got into fights with people on my fucking Instagram. Yeah, but he made a joke about health. Who gives a fuck if it's about health?
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck if it's a ball joke? He could do a fucking kid molesting joke. I don't give a fuck. You can't slap someone.
Yeah.
Isn't that the same as when a fucking woman gets her ass grabbed? Yeah, but what was she wearing? You don't ask what was she wearing. You can't grab a woman's ass. You can't slap a comedian. Doesn't matter what they said. Doesn't matter what they wore.
Yeah.
It's fucking hypocritical shit.
What makes me annoyed at the whole situation is like Ricky Gervais. I mean, when he got up on the, was it the Oscars or the Academy Awards? I think the Academy. I mean, holy shit, he fucking roasted them like savagely. Like he made, was it like pedophile jokes on some of the people there. And I was just like, I fucking love this dude. He's just like, you guys, you booked me.
Yeah.
You knew what you were getting into.
Joke he said about Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
Like, well, you guys were friends with him. I didn't fucking know him. You guys were the ones who were covering his back.
What was the joke like?
Making movies.
Yeah, you guys look like you've been.
But yeah, like what he signaled out though is just how hollow the like upper echelons of upper management.
Yeah, what was the joke like? Something about getting served to Harvey Weinstein or something like that, and I was just like, oh, that is so good. That is such a good burn.
One thing I will say though is that like the reason why Chris Rock, I reckon, just took it like an absolute champ as well is because he's probably getting slapped upside the head since he was a teenager for saying cheeky shit. Yeah. You can imagine young Chris, you know what I mean?
Just like Chris Rock's life story.
There's a TV show about it, isn't it?
Not just that. That's a comedy show. But he did a podcast with Neil Brennan, who was a writer with
Chappelle. He's Chappelle. Yeah.
So they did a podcast together, and he got into Chris Rock's like life, and Chris Rock's had the hardest life. He'd been being like mercilessly beat up since like a kid. He got sexually assaulted when he was a kid. Like from like just brutal racism, psychologically damaged. He's always been a small guy too.
Yeah, he's a skinny chap.
Will Smith's like what 6'4", athletic god king, and he's slapping the fat out of like a 5'4" little skinny kid. It's just so pathetic. I think Will Smith's a dog. His kids are untalented losers.
Yeah.
Whoa.
They're going off daddy's
He's loading up.
They're fucking shit cunts, bro.
Dahn is loading up.
How many times can fucking Jaden Smith try and be famous? You know, he's a fucking, I hate all of them. I hate the Smiths. I've hated them for fucking years. You know why? Fucking 2007, my auntie told me. My auntie used to have, she used to have a job and she used to go to Sydney a lot. And in Sydney, one of the things they had was like a corporate function and they got picked up in a limo.
Yeah.
It was in a limo. My auntie's a fucking Anglo-Indian 50-year-old woman. So she's talking to the limo driver like, oh, this is lovely. She asked the limo driver, have you ever driven as famous people around? Who was the best? And the limo driver said, oh, the best guy I've ever driven around is Keanu Reeves. He came here, we were filming the Matrix series. I was his driver for like 2 or 3 months every day. He was very immediate, broke down the barriers between I am your employee. He invited me out for runs every day. He invited me to dinner with his wife. Super friendly guy. Love him to death. We're still close mates. I have his number in my phone. Keanu Reeves is the best. My auntie was like, oh, that's amazing. I love Keanu. Who's the worst? And this is like 2006.
Yeah.
And he goes, not even a question. The worst celebrity ever picked up was Will Smith. Cunt. Not only a bad person, like a yucky soul, treats anyone who isn't like in the biz as like a worker and like he's like yelled at me. I told my agency that the limo driver works for, he goes, I don't want to pick him up anymore, get another driver. Yeah. So I knew he was a dog 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And fucking when this happened, I'm like, Picture fucking that. Rat cunt, will shit. I hate him. Slapping a comedian for telling a joke. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
I will say one thing. I think, which is
Good
kind of
actor.
interesting, because I don't mind Big Willie Styles, all right, but and I do think that like there's a couple of songs he's made with DJ Jazzy Jeff that I do really enjoy.
Yeah, those songs are great.
One of them's like "Can't Wait to Be With You." It's like this old '90s jam, and I do love it. But I think that the bigger point to be made here as well, though, is that he kind of cracked. So like the dude's spent, I don't know, almost his entire life, like since he was a teenager, he's been in the entertainment industry.
And
it's all eyes on you. It's public scrutiny, flat chat, rah, rah, rah. And like everyone always says like, oh, you know, he gets paid heaps of money to deal with that and rah, rah. But what I'm saying is like something's got to give, man. Something's got to give. And for all we know, him and Jada could have had a fight before they even got to the Oscars.
Well, she's cheated on him as well, right? That was a thing. Like,
that was a big thing as well.
I saw a meme that made me laugh so much.
Oh no, what was it?
The meme was like, nah, props to Will. I would never slap someone else. I would never slap a man for someone else's girl like that.
That's fucked. So heavy. But now he's getting dragged through the absolute mud. And like, look, I don't condone, like, because I do believe that comedy's the ultimate bastion of free speech and that like...
Bastion like that.
But I will also say that there is a double-edged sword sometimes because you know like when you're in the schoolyard and someone will say something about you, you start getting visibly upset and it's like, oh, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. And it's like, yeah, but is it? But I mean, like, you know, obviously on like such a public big stage like that, worldwide, like complete faux pas. You know what I mean?
He's been employed to, he's like, we've got to get a Chris Rock comedian renowned to perform his jokes at this crowd.
Yeah.
And I know from my perspective, if I've done gigs and the audience have tried to attack me and they have security come and fight them. That's happened. Several.
Wait.
During your shows?
I've done Comedy Festival 2021 or 2019, I forget. I did a gig and these Geelong cunts rocked up halfway through the gig. I'm on stage. It was called The Nasty Show.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it wasn't The Nasty Show. I'm not going to name the name of the venue because I'm going to get in trouble. But I was on stage. There was about 40 people there who've paid about $35 to get in.
Yeah.
I was the first to act on. And while the MC was on warming up the audience, the MC goes like 10 minutes at the top. We're back here and we're watching these sort of Geelong Aussie cunts with snapbacks bent up and these kind of, oh, fucking oh yeah, 2 pints in each hand. They sit down. There's like 5 of them, sit right in the front row, the empty seats. And they're just chip-chapping, but not like heckling. Yeah. But it's like, oh, Jono, that's like you, bro. And the MC's like, whatever. The MC goes, hey, guys, you've just been talking a little bit. Just remember, this is a comedy show. Just keep it down. But they're like, oh, yeah, sorry, mate, all good. Keeps going on. And they kept interacting. Yeah, every 5 seconds. And the MC, I know him, he's not the best at handling crowds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I could see he was just getting beat by these things. Yeah. And it's frustrating because the audience have paid money to see this show.
Yeah.
And their experience is getting reduced because of these 4 or 5
people. Yeah.
So I was like, on first, I'm looking at this, I'm like, I'm good at this shit.
Yeah.
If one of them say one thing, I'm going far. I'm going hard.
Yeah.
And I could see, I was behind the audience. So I noticed the main guy talking had a little bit of a bald patch going on. So I'm like, if he says anything to me, I'm bringing up the
busting
head.
the bald jokes.
That's what. Anyway, the guy, the MC is just like, I can't hold. He can't tame the whip, and he's got to get off now. So he's like, all right, guys, I'm going to begin the first act. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to stage Dahn Rozario. I go on stage, and I'm doing my thing. I'm going really well. The audience are loving it. And this guy starts talking, and I just say, hey guys, just letting you know, I'm not like the MC, so you better shut the fuck up. All right, just relax. They were like, oh yeah, all good. Just can't do the middle bit, just about to say a punchline. Oh, fuck, all right. They wrecked the joke. I was like, all right, guys, I'm gonna ask you one more time. Just don't talk anymore, because if you talk, I'm going to lose it. And the audience was like, ooh. And I was like, okay, back to the material, blah, 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 blah. They interrupted one more time, and I was like, that's fucking it. That's fucking it. You fucking dumb redneck cunts. And I'm like, I know why you're fucking talking the most, because I've had all your fucking mates, you're the first cunt to go bald, and everyone decided, screw. This guy was like, fucking rock. And his friends were like, yeah, suck a dick, Jono, he got ya. Like, and then I started doing material again, but the audience wanted me to pick on them because they hate him too, because he's wrecking their show that they've paid for.
Yeah.
So I just started going and just slaughtering with this material.
Yeah.
And I was just
you're just making up on the spot, right? Like you're just roasting
roasting the fuck out of this cunt, telling him he looks like fucking he shops at Cotton On and all that, whatever the fuck I was saying. And then the last thing I said to her, I was like, you're stupid, you're dumb, you don't get it, you have no respect, and I hope on the way home someone glasses you.
Wow.
And his mates and him was like, fuck you can't fucking say that, that's fucking disgusting. And I was like, oh, all good, bro, all good. And then all of them sort of like stood up and they just started walking towards that. And one of them goes, you ever been bashed on stage? And I was like, oh, shit. The audience, oh. And the security came in running and they grabbed it. There was this big thing trying to there was like 5 of them and 3 security guards. They just took them off. They fought them down the stairs and all the comedians were like, fuck. And my mate, like I can hear them. They're like, we're going to fucking kill him. They're like, and I'm got to finish my minutes, you know? So, have you ever done to perform comedy while you're hearing people figure out how they're going to beat you up? So I finished my set. Right off, security guards intercepted me. They're like, hey, we are strongly advising you not to leave. They've been kicked out, but they're in an alleyway waiting to beat the fuck out of you. They got glasses and everything. So what are you going to do here? I'm like, I got another gig. I got to go. So they were like, just wait here. We're going to call the cops. I'm like, I don't have time to wait for the cops. I got to go. So me and my mate swapped outfits. I put a hood on. We go down slow, like picking around corners like that. We go down and I asked the secchi, the dominant, which way did they go? They went that way. So we're going this way. Ran around and just like bolted like 4 blocks. We ran to the other gig, got on stage, smashed the other gig. As I'm leaving that gig, 2 people come up to me and like, oh my God, we just saw you at the other gig. And I was like, oh shit. He goes, yeah, the whole audience are here now. I was like, oh great. But yeah, it happens, man.
Yeah.
And just secchies look after you. But that's why the Oscars thing is annoying because like Chris Rock got slapped, nothing happened. No one was up to there like to break it up.
Well, because no one would dare touch Will Smith though, would they?
It's stupid. You know?
Yeah.
I think it was weird though because like he was kind of like half smiling when he came off stage and like, I don't know. Yeah.
Was it like...
It was kind of like do you know what I mean? Like
was it an act? Was it a setup?
Well, my mates, when we watched it, all my housemates were just like, nah, it's not real. It's not real.
Because he was leaning, he was hands behind him.
And I was here as well.
Yeah, you were
saying
the one
same thing. You were just like, nah, man, it's not real.
But
it's not real.
You know what? It painted the picture really well when he did this speech. He said something in the speech that made me realize what the situation was. He and celebrity, famous people don't get shit from people. They don't take criticism because people love it. People sucking his dick since he was fucking 20 years old. Oh, we love
Since he was Fresh Prince.
When he said in his fucking speech, he goes, you know, just like King Richard, you got to protect your family. Like he compared himself to the actor, the character, but a shitty actor who just does nothing but act. That's just a great contribution to society. The black man who raised Serena and fucking Venus was that man and like the trials and tribulations he would experience as a father, a black man in such a white sport. He compared himself to that. You're fucking deluded. You fucking played a role in a shitty movie that no one actually saw, and you're comparing yourself to some independent guy in the fucking 70s who raised 2 black women and became superstar. You know how fucking crazy you have to be to compare yourself to that person?
Yeah.
These people are deluded. They're crazy people. They're not emotionally secure. And that's when you hear it. That's why Ricky Gervais and these Oscars hosts do such an amazing job because they're shitting on people who don't get shit on.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they're copying it. Like, I go to gigs and shit on people like you, like random people, and they love it because they're emotionally intelligent, random, normal people who get slapped sometimes, and they learn to do it. I've gotten fucking, picked on. No one thinks I'm amazing. No one's sucking my dick all the time.
Yeah.
But these Hollywood fake rats.
Yeah.
And someone picks on them and they just freak out and hit someone. You need to fucking control these people. That's why it's crazy. Like, they get away with anything.
Yeah.
And that's why I just don't feel so unjust to me. That fucking, I don't know, they cancelled the fucking blue-haired cunts on Twitter, cancelled the dog from Paw Patrol because he's a cop and Black Lives Matter, but they're not going to cancel Will Smith for slapping the fuck out of someone at work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't slap nurses. The government have like a rollout of advertising. You can't hit our nurses. Doesn't matter what the situation is. I've had nurses that are absolute cunts, but I've not got to slap them. I'm not going to slap them because I'm an emotionally intelligent person.
Yeah.
But you can slap a comedian. And since that Will Smith thing is, go to YouTube. Recently, a lot of people have been standing up towards comedians. There's a guy who's doing a gig at a Laugh Factory. There's a clip going around. A guy stands up, throws a chair at him, picks up the mic, starts beating him with it. It's because now fuckwits are going to see that and be like, yeah, fuck, someone says that to me, I'd fucking hit him too.
Yeah.
It's a bad thing for comedy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just hate it so much. It's so annoying.
Well, that's the thing. It's just like you accept when you go to a stand-up gig, especially a small one that's not a stadium, that you are going to get picked on. Like if you go to a Jimmy Carr gig, you know Jimmy Carr is going to roast you. That's why he
100%.
opens up the floor to, all right, roast me.
Yeah.
He lets, you know what I mean? Like he lets the crowd roast him. And that's one thing I love about Jimmy Carr. When he does that, it's like roast me. And then he just, props to him for his fucking super sharp wit, fast, is that like, he'll just fucking have a comeback to that so good. But it's like, if you go to a Jimmy Carr gig and get roasted by him and then get upset, walk up and leave, and you know it's going to be a fucking heinous joke, there's something wrong with you.
100%.
Like you agree, why else would you be at the gig? Unless, a friend of yours like said, hey, do you want to come see the stand-up show? And you didn't know what you were getting into. Then
but even like, if you cop it, just suck it up. You don't get to talk to it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I heard a comedian say this. I'll say this and I'll let you
go.
There was a comedian who said this, I think 5 or 6 years ago. He goes, when YouTube came out, we noticed more heckling. Because what's popular on YouTube? Comedian owns heckler. Those videos are blowing up. So people were like, I want to go to a show and heckle. That was a thing. Heckling increased when those videos became popular, when YouTube came out.
And there's clickbait.
And this Will Smith thing, it's like now there's going to be an increase of people rushing the stage. That's just how it works. Yeah. People see it and be like, yeah, I can fucking do that. I've had it at duck fat. I've had cunts like fucking be like, fuck you. And I'm like, yeah, fuck. And I roast them. It's different. But it's just a thing. I've recently, like this year, I had 6 boys circle me with knives at a party and say, if you make another Fatima video, we're going to cut your throat. It's a real thing. People.
What?
Yeah, 100%. That happened in January.
Is it?
Pull a knife on me and said, we will slit your fucking throat if you make another Fatima. That's why I don't do Fatima anymore.
Really?
Is that why?
That's why. Because his mum's name was Fatima, the daughter of the Saint Muhammad.
Yeah, I mean, like,
whoa,
yeah,
man.
People get real serious about that.
People not being able to, like, you are not emotionally intelligent to understand a joke and see irony built into something that I'm doing. So you react in violence. And that is the death of comedy right there. And now people are getting more enthused to do that because
Will Smith did it.
And it's not only just Will Smith, but like, why was Will Smith able to do it? Because of cancel culture. Because the whole, you can't say that anymore, that's offensive. That has started. And now the fact that Will Smith is acting on that, a lot of people are going, yeah, alopecia, you can't. No, you can't do that. You can't tell people to shut the fuck up because you don't like they said words. Yeah. You know? So that's
freedom of speech.
The Will Smith thing was like a big act of cancel culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you defend what he did, it's like, you're not just defending Will Smith's defending his wife, whatever the fuck that bullshit is. You're defending people's ability to tell someone to shut the fuck up because they don't like it. You know what I mean? Because we're getting paid to do it. Like I do those fucking roasting TikToks and shit. People come to Duck Fat because they want to see that happen. Yeah. You know? And if you're telling people, yeah, we want, some people like it, some people don't like it. If you don't like it, don't the fuck to go to comedy shows. Stay the fuck away. It's a niche art form for a very small group of society. You know? So that's why the Will Smith thing really bugs me because it's like, it's a deeper issue right now. Yeah,
yeah. Well, that's the thing. The issue is political correctness. Cancel culture is what you're upset about.
But on that same thing as well, like you shouldn't then cancel Will because if you're against cancel culture, then you shouldn't cancel Will.
Don't cancel him, but do something. Like I liked what happened to you. You got banned from the Oscars. That's great.
But even then, I just think that's also like really like weak from the Oscars as well. Like it's like, this is us like doing something about it or whatever. But I don't think you should like necessarily cancel him or ban him. We need to look at this as a simple fact. The man had an emotional breakdown.
Did he?
Yes, he did, man.
Well, he was laughing when the joke landed. And then he got up.
But did you see him during the speech, man? He's weeping the whole time.
That's where I'm like.
Bro, he snapped.
He weaked him.
He snapped. Something like, and you know, man, Denzel said it, man. When you're up at the top, that's when the devil comes for you, man. And he meant that. And Denzel said that as well. And he knows, man, do you know what I mean? That there's a lot of fury in like, you know, being a black man in America. Like there's a lot of anger and rage about like the mistreatment of like in a whole different levels. And I'm not saying that, but what I'm trying to say is that like what Denzel's trying to say is he's encapsulating like right when you're at your best, you're at your peak and you think you've got it all, boom, that's when you snap. Yeah. That's when it comes to you. And that's like an emotional thing. And I'm just saying that like, that's what I feel like it happens. I do agree with you though as well. Like it's not good for comedy. It's not good for freedom of speech and stuff like that. The bloke snapped. He fully had a moment of weakness and he just like, and in such a public sphere as well. Like it's just absolutely wild.
I just don't want people to remember Chris Rock as that.
Same. Go, bro. So funny,
Chris
man.
Rock's,
like
Chris Rock's Bring the Pain special. You know this special? Arguably best special of all time. Best.
What is this?
Chris Rock's 1993 special, Bring the Pain. That is
I've
arguably the
seen
best
that.
comedy special of all time. And the fact that he will be remembered as the guy who got slapped by Will Smith, that makes my fucking blood boil.
Yeah,
Chris Rock's one of the reasons I started stand-up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He's the GOAT, bro.
You reckon he's the GOAT?
All right, there's too many GOATs. There's too many.
Like-
the current GOAT is Chappelle, but that GOAT will end soon. I think it's kind
Yeah,
of
like
already over.
his star is that, because I'm like, I've loved Chris Rock's movies. Like Head of State's one of my favorite
Yeah,
movies,
yeah,
you know, and yeah, again, growing up with him, but I compared to like Eddie Murphy's Delirious
I
or
can't
Raw.
say Eddie's the GOAT. I can't say it.
Back in the day, he would have been one of like,
He had two good ones and then he just stopped.
he started making movies that really weren't actually that good.
Yeah. And he had, I think Louis C.K. described Eddie as the most, he's like an athlete.
Yeah.
Like he's able to do the most comedy, but his ideas were never that rich. He was a young dude. He was 24, 25 when he released those two specials. And then when those specials came out, he stopped doing comedy.
And he was good at SNL and shit as well.
Yeah, of course. But to be goated, you need to do it for the long run. I think the three GOATs of our era,
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr's like the new one.
Okay.
Bill
Yeah.
Burr's like, it was Seinfeld, Louis, and Chris.
Yeah.
Now the new is Chappelle, Bill, and I would say like maybe like Jim Gaffigan or something.
I actually never heard of Jim Gaffigan.
He's good.
He's good.
And then now it's like John Mulaney and Schultz is probably going to be given. If he Schultz needs a special.
Andrew Schultz is awesome.
He needs a special.
Yeah, he needs a but his style of comedy is like, it's kind of what you were saying about like he just roast people. Like he just sits there and
Well,
goes.
no, that's why he's a genius. He's doing the roasting because he hasn't shown his material to anyone. But his material is the best.
Yeah,
He just doesn't release his material because once you release it on the internet, you can't use it anymore.
that's true.
So
Yeah,
he does, when he tours, he does like an hour and a half. He does half an hour of crowd work, films all of that, cuts it up for clips. So his content's blowing up. And then the material he crushes. No one knows his material unless you go see him live. So if you want
Yeah.
the premium, you got to see him live. It's genius.
That's actually pretty good. Yeah, because I admittedly, like, I don't think I've ever heard of his like his raw stuff. You know what I
It's
mean?
the best. He's a fucking New York comic. So his comedy's like the best of the best.
Yeah.
But no one knows it. When you go see him live, he just does only material.
That's
And
sick.
then he's got a special coming out that no one's seen. So it's perfect.
Yeah.
There's this British guy, Daniel Kitson. You ever heard of that guy?
Go.
Oh, man,
Goat.
he is unbelievable, but refuses to film any of his stuff because he's like, you won't come and see me.
Yeah.
He's like, my job is to put bums on seats in theaters.
Yeah.
And if I release all these like recorded materials, DVDs, like whatever, you're just not going to come.
Yeah.
But he is so funny. He just does like human condition, slice of life stuff, and I dig
He's
it.
crazy good. He's crazy
I
good.
gotta,
so funny.
you gotta tell me this stuff because I haven't seen one in a while. I recently on Netflix, is it Mo Armour?
He's a gun. He's so fucking good.
And like, you know, as an Arab, I'm just like, dude, I fucking relate to this guy. I'm like, I know exactly. And he is like, he's raised as well or lived in this sort of Arab world. So he brings that kind of flavor really well. And I'm just like, dude, I totally fucking get where this guy's at, you know? And it's like, I think Arab people are generally pretty funny. Like if you grew up in Bahrain, like Bahrain is probably one of the most slang. Like we have a lot of Indian words that we use in our dialect. We have a lot of Iranian influence. We're a melting pot. So our language is very, as far as Arabic goes, it's fucking butchered. And a bunch of my mates that I know that are in radio, shout out to Imran and Ali Fingers, they're actual Bahraini stand-up comedians. And they got Maz Jabrani, they got Russell. You guys know Maz Jabrani? He did that Axis of Evil. You ever seen that? The Axis of Evil? That shit was fucking hilarious. I saw that in high school. Axis of Evil comedy tour where they got a bunch of Arab and Iranian Americans and they essentially toured the Middle East, but then they toured the world. And the jokes were pretty much about being of Middle Eastern ethnicity or Muslim like sort of background in living in America and then also going to, the Middle East and having this weird dichotomy of like Dubai was one of the jokes that this guy Ahmed did. He's like, you go to Dubai and right around 8 o'clock, the mosque is going, Allahu Akbar. And then right around the corners, it's pretty funny because I'm like, that is totally funny. When I used to go clubbing as a 17-year-old, it's like, oh guys, it's 2 a.m. Like the prayer starts at like 4 in the morning. So the club has to shut. So we'll all stop partying for like that, wait for the morning prayer to finish and then go to the sort of lounges that are open at 24 hours so we can all just drink. But anyways, digressing here. Mo Armour, pretty pretty funny and material.
Did you guys ever get around Russell Peters?
Yeah, fuck
Fuck, he's so funny.
I mean,
similar thing, you know, like he's doing like being an Indian man, like in America, like living in that, like, you know, trying to fit into that society and stuff like that. He's a funny motherfucker, man.
Yeah, he's funny.
Yeah.
He fell off though, didn't he?
I haven't seen him do anything, but like his old stuff is funny, man.
I think
maybe he just felt like because I don't know, like.
No, I think the internet
like
happened. I think the internet, like for a period of time, YouTube was still pretty young, and then that's where his videos got the whole punani joke thing. Was like it was like, you know, before the algorithms kicked in, and I feel like he was pretty big at that time. But then, you know, it's saturation.
It was the thing. Like I know that there's a lot of big comedians who blew up from singular bits.
Yeah,
like a good example is Russell Peters. Somebody's got to get a hit. That one. That was so big. People came for the joke. They didn't come for him.
Yeah.
So huge, became the biggest comic on the world for like 3 years, and then after that, they're like, oh, now he's not doing that bit when he tours with us.
Mm-hmm.
Another one was you remember that ages ago? It was around the same time. There was a woman who had you got a boyfriend with the nails. This is the nail salon bit.
Yeah.
The nail salon bit blew up.
Yeah.
And this woman became like the big touring act. And then they came and saw her for like a year or two and it was over.
Yeah. It's kind of like Cat Williams as well.
Cat Williams, another one.
Oh, bro, you're terrifying me doing that, bro. No, bro. You're terrifying the shit out of me.
It's just about a gentle pour. You've just got to be.
Oh, man.
Do you know what I mean? I'm in control.
My heart is in my asshole right now.
I'm in control of everything.
Dude, I've had shit being spilled on my gear. I was like, oh.
Not today, baby. Don't you worry, man.
Yeah. Look, if that was me, we wouldn't, this podcast is we fried it.
That's a good jug though. I'm impressed with that.
Oh, wait. No, that's my glass.
No, that's my one. I got you that one.
I've been drinking from that one, bro.
Or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Get my COVID, baby. Cheers, boys.
You beauty.
Cheers, lads. Salute a tout.
Pleasure. But don't worry, man. It's all good. It's all about risk control. I'm a bartender in a past life. I can pour like the best of them.
Give me a wristy.
No. You got to pay for that.
Yeah.
That costs.
Happy Easter, baby.
That costs extra.
I saw the way you're twisting that jug, bud.
Yeah. So look, man, we've been talking about just, you know, we've really got into that sort of PC culture, but I really want to kind of roll things back here. Let's go back in time. Two things I want to kind of go through a sequence is your sort of origin story and how you decided to become like this was the path. You said earlier that you really started doing stand-up at, I can't remember the date, but you said that earlier. 2018. But obviously you made that sound as if you were kind of already maybe testing out your jokes on your friends or just, you know, I would imagine that any stand-up comedian is just naturally funny. You know what I mean? Like
I was always a funny dude. When I was 14, I was 19, it was 2014.
Yeah.
I tried stand-up, like independently. I looked it up. I Googled where to do stand-up in Melbourne. And there was a place called the Comics Lounge, which is still running. I just went and stood out the front. I couldn't afford to pay entry or anything. And then the show ended and all these people flooded outside. And I just grabbed people, hey, you a comedian? They were like, no. I just started asking randoms.
Yeah.
I asked some guy, you a comedian? He goes, yeah, kind of. And I go, oh, where can I get up? And he was like, oh, come to this thing. He's like, he invited me to some Facebook group and then he said, come to I just found one. It was Fish Face Comedy in Footscray.
Yeah.
So I caught the train there one night. I was stoned off my tits and I went and I performed and give 5 minutes and I did well. And then I was like, oh, so there's a comedy scene. And I did a couple of gigs here and there. Maybe like once every 2 weeks I was doing a gig. But I was like not really in it at the time. So I just sort of started partying, doing my own thing. And then when I was 22, it was 2018 and I woke up in the middle of the night. I was in Mykonos with my ex. And I woke up, I'm like, I want to do comedy. And she was like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do comedy now.
What year was this?
2018. It was like
2018,
August.
yeah.
And I woke up and we went home that weekend. I got landed on a Saturday. On Sunday, I did 3 gigs. I just open mics. My friend Alessio, he's like a comedian. He was like, I'll take you to all the open mics. We started doing gigs every day. I'm doing a gig every day. Started just learning and writing jokes and sort of getting in front of all types of crowds. Slowly climbed the ladder. I got good very quick. And now most gigs in Melbourne will have me. Yeah. And there's a pretty big comedy scene in Melbourne. I don't know if you guys watch comedy in Melbourne, do you?
I've been to a few. I went to see Carl Barron here once what's that guy? Arj
Barker.
I think I've seen
like
it
2 nights ago, yeah.
He's pretty funny.
So my housemate, he does puppetry the penis. Yeah,
Really?
he's like third generation or something like that. So he does a lot of shows and stuff. And it's funny, he's taking me with him to Hens Nights, and small little segue here. It's like, he's like, oh, I was 19 or 20 at the time, and he's like, oh, you go out there and greet the women and stuff like that. And I was like, all right, okay. Because yeah, you just go just like, give an introduction. And I go out there and they're like, take it off, take it. And I just turned around and went back. I'm like, they're hardcore, man.
I want to see some dick.
He's like, show us your dick. I'm like, ah.
Oh my God.
So, but he gets up there with the cape and everything. And it is more or less a comedy show, with lots of foreskin.
Yeah.
But yeah. So he's always been the conduit. Sorry, the reason why I brought that up is he's always been a conduit for me to go to the Melbourne comedy shows, and it's on now. And I'm like, you know what? I fucking love comedy. I don't know why. We should be going to these things. How long is it going for?
What?
The
comedy festival.
The festival, yeah.
Well,
It ends in like a week.
The comedy festival ends in a week, but there's
Or even
the
like a few
comedy
days.
scene that's
In general,
There's so many
yeah.
comedy clubs.
Yeah.
There's to name a few. There's like Comedy Republic. There's the Comics Lounge. There's Catfish. There's Duck Fat.
Yeah, Duck Fat.
There's so many. There's Voltaire.
Yeah.
There's so many gigs like that. There's like any night of the week you just rock up and it's just the best.
Man, I am gonna make it. We should. Like, I am definitely invited me to the Duck Fat thing. I was like, man, I'm just fucking. Now I've got a lot more free time, but
On May 4th and 5th, we're doing a show. I can give you some free tickets if you like.
fuck
I'll
yeah.
pay.
Yeah. I don't
Oh,
pay.
dude.
Come on, man.
Because he
Support-
sells out
yeah,
every
but-
time, baby.
Take the ticket.
But I'm just saying, like, I'm
You know
a
what?
big believer in supporting.
Yeah.
I'm
your
gonna.
babes.
All good. Don't worry.
I'm gonna take. I'm gonna take that free.
Not to worry about it. I won't
Yeah,
worry
come on
about
the
it.
5th. The 5th's going to be a big night.
Look, I'm gonna take the free ticket because I'm gonna have to fucking pay for a babysitter.
Damn.
Yeah.
No, come down. It's a good time.
But the thing is, though, man, is that like I'm glad you're highlighting this fact because like a lot of people do get around comedy whilst the comedy festival's on, but like not as many people like would actively seek comedy while it's like not on. I feel I'm definitely like
Australia's the
that.
only place where it's like that. Like
Yeah.
in London, in New York, and other not New York, just like anywhere in America or anywhere in the UK, Europe, comedy scene is so active. Just because density of population, there's no people in this country, so there's not enough people. I know everyone. I can't even meet a new girl. Every girl I know is like, oh, that's that fucking friend. There's so little people in this city. It's hard to have a bustling population. That's why it's a hard comedy scene here. The comedy scene is structured in such a way here that's sort of very old school compared to places like LA, New York, London.
How so? Like, what's that structure look like?
I don't know if you guys the New York and LA comic scene. So like back in the day, you'd spend your whole career just getting 5 minutes. And that 5 minutes you get on David Letterman, and then you're famous.
Yeah.
And then you write it out, and you go on tour, and you sell out tickets during an hour. And then you become famous, and you start a pod. Now it's like you get a podcast. And that old 5 minutes sort of thing is sort of dated. Because then why would you just write 5 minutes to get on a TV show? No one watches TV, everyone's listening to podcasts. So start a podcast, start putting clips up. That's like the new method. That's like Joe Rogan sort of did that. Tom Segura, Schultz.
Tom Segura's funny, man.
Tom Segura's the goat, bro.
You know that podcast, Your Mum's House?
Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah,
Funny,
my
man.
housemate Papa watches that all the time.
Sorry, anyway, go on.
But that's how you do it now. You start a podcast and you build your own following. That's the best way to become a working comic. But in Australia, that method's only implemented very recently by a few people. What I'm doing with the TikToks and stuff, that's like new. What the fuck?
That's the hybridization of
The comedy scene is still very traditional. You get 5 minutes, you do all the gigs in town. When you can get booked everywhere, then you might get seen in front of a manager or something, and then they can.
Oh, like an agent or a manager?
An agent, a manager.
Yeah.
There's only 4 management companies in Australia. And if you
wow.
get signed, you're sorted. But if not, you can't make any money. There's no paid gigs in Melbourne.
Are you signed to any one of them yet?
No.
No.
My whole game right now is I'm trying to get signed. If I can get signed, that means that they set you up at the venue for comedy festival. They send you to there's like 5 or 6 festivals. There's Fringe, there's Adelaide, there's Melbourne, there's Gold Coast, there's Perth, there's Canberra. All these festivals, and they put you in front of people. They sort it out. They pay for the venue. They push you. So you can make like a couple hundred, not 100, you can make like 30 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand, depending on the size of the venue that you're in.
Yeah.
In 4 months. And then that's your money for the year.
Yeah.
So my thing is, if I go to New York, I can't live. I have to get a job. So if I can get signed and then make money within those 4 months, I can come to Melbourne every year, come to Sydney every year, go to all the places.
Yeah, you can tour Australia.
Make my money and then fuck off to New York for the remainder of the year. And then come back once a year. That's my
And I'm assuming you do have that ambition.
Yeah, fuck it.
Like the amount of gigs that you say you do in a week sounds like you are pretty ambitious and you're taking this extremely serious. Like this is your life
Yeah.
at this point, you know?
I want to be the biggest comic in Australia.
That'd be
That's
sick,
the goal.
man.
Yeah.
That's your goal.
I hope you get there,
Fuck,
man.
man, I'll shake your hands right there.
And I
But
believe
I'll
you can get there as well. I definitely back that in.
You,
Oh, thank
you bash
I
that
think
TikTok,
as well,
bitch.
there's another side to it as well that is like kind of cool, which is that when you do get signed, you do get famous, you know, you can start being on like, have you been paying attention?
Yeah.
'Cause you start going on quiz shows.
But what is that shit? That's another thing. Why do we have those? Like, why is that? This is
the mainstream format of... Or,
no one what like. That's the thing. Like Channel 9, Channel 10 get like maximum 30K views. If that's a really good episode. Oh my God, we did it. What is that? Like that's fucking shit. If I put up a fucking TikTok and got 30K, I failed.
yeah.
You want to get 500K, 100K, 50K. That's good numbers, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I put up a TikTok, way more people see it. That's why for me, when I started doing these TikToks and shit, people got sort of subtly cut at me, all the other comics, because the comics been doing it for 12 years. And they're like, they're selling tickets. Why? How? And I'm like, because I'm on TikTok. And they're like, what? And I'm like, there's this thing. And for whatever reason, you put a clip up and it just takes off. And it's getting more views. This is where everyone is now.
Yeah.
So all these comedians who have been doing comedy for 10 years and gotten nowhere in Melbourne are like, how do I do it? So I'm teaching them how to get on TikTok. Michael Schaefer is a good friend of mine. He's a great comic, amazing comic. He was a writer for the project. He still is. And he's putting out more TikToks than me. And he's got way more followers than me. He's like, that's the way now. Because that's where the people are watching. No one's watching TV. How many people do you know actually watch TV?
No, we just watch fucking streaming services or YouTube.
Fucking oath.
Because it's selective. We get to choose what we want.
No one's getting famous off TV anymore.
Yeah.
The whole David Letterman, right 5 minutes to get on TV, it's dead. There's no point. But the management companies in Australia, I'm not going to say who they are, but they still get their acts on TV and they think it's really good. But what they should be doing is funding their acts with, here's a podcast.
Yeah.
We'll fund this podcast. We'll set up the cameras. We'll do everything for you. Make it good. Be funny. We will push this out.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that's the thing. Like, you got to get, Australia's a little bit behind in that. Well, America, start a podcast straight away. They've seen what happened to Segura, Joe Rogan, Bert Kreischer, Ari Shaffir. All these people blew up from the content game.
Diaz, yeah.
That's what, another one. We need to start doing that in Australia.
Definitely. And I think as well, you know, they say video killed the radio star. Well, social media killed the video star.
Yeah.
Like legit. Because I do agree with you. TV's dying. I work in TV, man. Yeah,
Which TV channel? What do you work?
Oh man, no, I'm a freelancer in film and TV. I've done all of it, man. Like feature films, in studio stuff, worked at the ABC. I worked on their show Kinney Tonight, which is like a sketch comedy show. But anyway, like, man, what I'm trying to say is that like, I do agree with you. TV's dead, but you know that doesn't mean that you still won't get paid every time you go on TV.
Course.
Do you know what I mean? I'm just saying it's another avenue.
I think the only time
not
people...
your primary one, and it's definitely not necessarily one that like, it is definitely fading for sure.
Probably sports is actually where it's at now for TV.
100%.
Where
But
it's
even
probably
it's
not
KO.
going to...
It's KO, bro.
I think if someone said go on TV for me, I would want to go on TV just so I can get a clip of me on TV and I can put it on TikTok.
Yeah, start editing it.
100%. All I would do, that's all, because all it is my fans would love that for me.
Yeah.
It's kind of this, it's, you know what it's like? It's the same psychology behind a blue tick. Why would I get a blue tick?
What's the blue tick? So what is
It's
that?
Blue tick on
certified.
certified on Instagram.
You're certified. It's really me that's running this profile.
If you get a blue tick on Instagram, number one, everyone who's supported me up until this point will love that for me. They go, oh my God, he's got a blue. That's huge.
I've never heard of this blue tick thing.
Yeah.
It's relatively new, but it's a thing. It is. So like, you know, like if like Justin Bieber comments on something and there's a blue tick, that's actually
his name.
Justin Bieber. Like that's actually him.
There's like a little.
Well, I
name
mean, like
next
his
to it.
social media manager, whatever. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like it's supposed to be like that whole thing.
And it people, it's a bit cringe that is a thing. But psychology, like if you see someone with a blue tick, number one, the algorithm will put it at the top of your conversation.
Yeah.
If someone messages me, I don't see it because it just goes into my message request. If someone with a blue tick messages me, it comes as a message. It's like a prestigious thing to get that blue tick. If I get the blue tick, to all my followers, they go, he got the blue tick. It's just a flex. And that's it. If I got on, have you been paying attention? I got that clip. I put it on my Instagram. Everyone will be like, I'm so proud of you. It's just a flex. It's good to be able to show your followers that you're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
That's it.
And there's a momentum behind it. And then these management companies start to have a look, like they start to notice you and shit like that. It's very similar to DJing, man. Like, you know, right now for me, it's just been snowballing. Like I've had a gig every weekend, you know, and I'm like, for me, if I'm not gigging every weekend, then I'm like, fuck, I feel like hollow and empty because this is, you know, much like the thrill that you get from being on stage. It's a similar feeling being a performer, you know, and it's like when it's good, but you need to constantly do things to, and I don't do like maybe I do a 1% of what you do, and I'm like, fuck, got to take a page from that book and be like, if you want to be in the limelight, maybe you do start to chop up things and stuff. I mean, it's the same thing with this podcast, is we're slowly wanting to get to that point where we do have shorts and stuff, and we're like, that is probably how we're going to grow our brand, but rather than, for now, I think our thing has been like, let's actually just get the actual stuff recorded, the full episodes, because that's where it's good. And, eventually we'll get to that efficient point where we'll be able to chop our videos up and start, doing TikToks where we get, this like 5-minute section or 2-minute section of you like shitting on Will Smith. Like that could be a fucking,
100%,
and
that's the thing. My friends have a podcast and they have a similar thing. They just get their producer to write down the timestamps.
Yeah.
Dan says something funny at 11 minutes, 11.5 seconds. Put that down. At the end, when they give it to the editor, he knows exactly where to go and cut the bits out.
We got to get ourselves this editor, man.
Yeah.
We do. We're busy
but
boys.
I'm the same though. My podcast it's just me in my room and I can't be fucked doing clips.
Yeah.
And also like a solo pod by myself is very hard for me.
Like the Monday, the Bill Burr style. Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. But what do you do? Do you just talk about like
updates? I push my tickets.
What's it called?
It's called Trust No Dogs podcast. Listen to that if you...
Can you say that in the way that you would say that?
Out there, trust no dogs.
Fucking dogs.
Trust no fucking dogs, bro.
It's good. It grows. I got 1,000 views on one of them.
Yeah.
It's going slow. My friend, the reason why
it's filmed?
It's filmed, yeah.
On YouTube?
Yeah. The reason why I started, my friend Fergus Neal, who's a great guy, he started the podcast a year ago. A little over a year ago, right? He started it just in his bedroom. He started filming, blah, blah, blah. As Australian politics, whatever. It grew. Now he makes money off it.
Yeah.
It takes 1 year. So I'm like, fuck it. He told me, just start a podcast and just do it every week. And he goes, get a little Patreon going. And in a year's time, he makes like $200 a week or a month off it now. I think that's great.
Man.
So just a year's worth of every week podcast.
Does he do video as well?
It's all video. And he writes a monologue and it's a 15-minute podcast. He reads the monologue out. He cuts the clips up, put it on TikTok. Bada boom,
Yeah.
Easy. Slam bam. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. I just get some cash.
We taking notes here. Right? We taking mental notes.
Hey man, we've got to keep that bacon rolling in.
Yeah.
100p,
That's what it's all about. Got to get them dollar hairs.
Yeah.
Gotta get that boom, boom, boom.
I think that's something a little bit different.
He said Fergie. I said Fergie, and all I could think of Ferguson. All I could think of was fucking the Black Eyed Peas. But like, let's roll it back here for a second, right? So, you're 2018, and you're just like, fuck it, I'm gonna be a comedian and shit like that. You start to go do a lot of actual open mics, I'm guessing, and just like flexing that muscle. But you strike me from seeing you that just one time is that you do have a bit of this freestyle ability that you could kind of crack jokes. But do you actually sit down and this is something I've always wanted to ask comedians is, do you actually sit down and just like on pen to paper or whatever laptop and start sort of fleshing out, like writing the joke, or how does that process look like?
I don't know. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
I have a very specific writing formula and it works for me.
And does it actually, like, do you actually write it down?
I don't write jokes. So I went to the shops the other day. No, all that shit.
I went to the shops.
You don't do slice of life.
I just write about a topic. Like I'm writing about why Indians are horny. I was writing this yesterday.
Dude.
Yeah.
Is that the one? Okay, no. The one with the Uber driver?
Yeah, that's a bit.
That is fucking.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I'm trying to make that a richer idea. So I'm talking about. So I just write about it. I don't have the intention of I'm comedy writing. I'm just writing things, and you write, and that's kind of similar to that. So like, that's funny. That's like a jump, and you just find these points of movement in it, and then I take this idea, and for me, the way I talk funny. So I just take that to an open mic and I'll just rant about it and I'll find movement. I'm like, that's funny there. And then you record everything on your voice memos.
Yeah.
And then you take that home and that's like working on your act. So you're like, okay, that was funny. And then you realize that there's an old joke that is a perfect closer for that chunk and all that kind of shit, right? So you chunk, you're basically, that's how I write it. And I do this thing, another thing. Once I have a bit figured out, it could be whatever. Once I have it figured out, I do it 10 times and I don't listen to that bit 10 times. So I take it in 10 different environments. So I did an open mic with 5 people, a good gig with 50 people, people with 3 people where some guy heckled me and I had a riff that was funny. And then I sit back at the end of the 10 days. I listen to each single version because naturally I haven't heard it, so I haven't had a reference point. So I've said it 10 different, and I get all the good bits. I can make a master version.
Yeah.
and then I take that and I just start gigging with that.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of breaking it down and boiling it back.
Yeah.
A lot of
yeah.
like stripping the joke back, cutting out the fat.
So, yeah.
You know?
Talk about
It's science, man. It's experimentation. Literally, it's trial and error.
Yeah.
But like the other thing that fascinates me as well is that like through that process, you sort of start to get the pacing. Because I find that's
big.
such a
Pace and delivery, right?
Pace and delivery, like how you get the punchlines across. And you know what I mean? You've got the audience right there. You know what I mean? Because sometimes like you listen to a comedian and you're like, where are they fucking going with this?
Yeah.
Like you just, but then when that punchline hits, you're like, oh my God, that is, you know what I mean? Like you had that light bulb moment. And I'd like, and again, that's the genius of comedy, really.
Some people I know, like my friend Fergus, I brought him up before. He just sits there and writes jokes. Like he'll be like, you ever noticed this? Or what happened? He writes joke. Like I don't know how to do that.
It's like you might have to have this like great ability to imagine like the crowd laughing. It's like, oh, is that how that's gonna land? You know, I mean, that's a skill. You know what I mean? For me, the equivalent of that is like programming a DJ set and going. And this is something I think I'm pretty good at. Is first off, like knowing if a track is like a bomb straight away, and it takes me about 10 seconds to decide if this track is good or not when I'm sifting through music I'm purchasing. It was like, you know, it goes through the yay or nay. Yeah, yep, nah, shit, mediocre, could be a filler, you know, and then you put the programming together of a set and you're kind of going, all right, I want to start here, you know, this is the opening track, this is going to create this kind of experience, and then this is kind of where I'm going to go, but everything in between is a bit of an open format. I don't know where I'm going to go. Sometimes it's curated, but you sort of almost, for me, I kind of know exactly how I want this dance floor to go. And if you've got an hour slot at a big music festival, then you probably want to like plan it pretty well because you only have an hour to go. But, you know, like just recently I played at a festival at Dragon Dreaming, and it's like, man, I was doing a lot of the sort of project management behind the scenes to manage all 3 stages with the guy that booked the lineup. And I was like, fuck, man, it's the night before. I lost my phone. You know, listen to this. I don't have any time to work on my set. Look, this is my opening track. It's a bit of a Middle Eastern thing. And this is going to be, the ending is also another Middle Eastern sort of influence. I don't know what's going to happen in between. Yeah. And then it's, you know, that's great. But it's a similar, I guess, process to, you know, if you're writing that joke. And I feel like sometimes the magic happens with any creative field is that has a positive feedback loop with a crowd and an audience is when you kind of do leave it sort of open format, you know, like I had this, I had this like sick experience. So there was a live music stage there. I don't know if I told you this, bro.
I'm ready.
Yeah. No, it's just like, for me, this was just like fucking, you know, so just to give you context, man, I do like, I mean, we both rap, you know, like when we were fucking.
I wouldn't call myself a rapper.
But like you,
I freestyle better.
Well, you know, Blaney,
my mate Tommy, when I'm cooked on the dance floor.
Yeah, Blaney, I'll tell you what, Blaney can freestyle. You freestyle better than I do. I just choke all the time, you know. I got the voice, which is good, but I'll just generally will write. Like I'm really good at writing lyrics and stuff like that and going, I want to write about, you know, fucking anxiety, whatever it is. I'm like, you know, write about Palestine, you know, and like write some, you know, politically heated shit. Anyways, so on stage, I'm managing the live music stage, right? And there's a 30-minute sometimes changeover when it's a stage that doesn't have the capabilities of like switching 2 drum kits and stuff like that. And we have risers and things. And so it's a quick operation. We've got to change 2 8-piece bands, you know. So generally when I've helped it out at other festivals and shit, you'd have a DJ or even, you know, just if I could have a stand-up comedian just going in that 30-minute block, just entertaining people in the crowd to keep them there and engaged so that they don't walk away to wherever they're going to another stage, so that the next band doesn't have to start with an empty dance floor and then they have to build it back up. So I go up on stage and I was like, you know, it's like talking to the microphone. Hey, everybody, how you doing? You know, like this, like just hosting.
Like an MC for the stage.
Yeah. Well, just, you know, I do that a lot. And then I was just like, hey guys, can I do a spoken word? And then it's like, cool. If I can do one of my, you know, pre-writtens and stuff like that, fucking it lands well. And I know it lands well because it's like I've done this one so many times that it's like it's sick. And then I'm just like kind of like scratching my head going, fuck, I wish I'd have done that with a beat. I wish I had a beat to that. And as I was saying that, the drummer from the previous band he walks in and he's about to take his cymbals off and he goes, do you want a beat? And I was like, sure.
If you're ready to lay it down, brother. Man.
Yeah. So he starts giving me a fat boom bap beat. And then I start spitting bars and shit. And then the fucking keyboardist comes up. And the fucking bass guitarist comes up. And the fucking 3-piece horn section comes up. And before you know it, I'm like fucking with this 8-piece funk band. And it's just fucking magic. And I'm starting to rap. And then I run out of fucking lyrics, like my own stuff. Like, again, I can't freestyle. So I was like, fuck, what do you know? What do you know that you can cover really well? It's like Public Enemy, Bring the Noise. I've done that to you. I've done that to you at Picnic Electronic.
So good.
Bass, how low can you go? Man, it's like this moment in time, where it's like those golden moments where you just, I'm tooting my own horn here. I know I'm fucking shameless.
Yeah, there's a lot of dick sucking going on in this corner, but I love that. I love it.
It's very
but
nice.
You should be proud of your achievements.
No, but I'm just saying, like, for me, that was just magic. And I can imagine someone like you doing that on stage is just, fucking unbelievable when you have those one moments where everything is just right.
100%.
But I also think it's one of those things, as you were saying, like building on that like in the creative field, you're constantly pruning. And it's that, and that's what I would refer to as the struggle, because that's unpaid hours of work that artists put into trying to get to the point where they can get paid for that.
But I got a question.
That's the struggle.
I got a question for you, Dan. Like, all right, so let's say I can imagine you have a lot of those moments, but some of your material is sort of freestyle. Do you said earlier, if you bomb, you bomb, but do you chase that sometimes, that magic moment, if you're doing it, some sort of that moment where it's like freestyle? Or no, that's not.
You guys know this in music. When you're just like in the fucking flow state.
Yeah.
And you just like everything you're doing is mad. If you're playing a bass or if you're like, I haven't fucking missed any notes, or you're rapping, you're like, I'm just in it. You know what I mean? Or if you're mixing, especially, like everything's just like coming out of me, and you're just like, I close my eyes and you see colors.
Synesthesia.
Very much that on stage for me.
Yeah.
When I'm just in it. And you're just going, your material, but
you're on the wave,
stray a little bit, and you just, wow, that's all I want to do. That's that feeling in that euphoria.
Yeah.
That's
while you do it.
Yeah. And that's when an audience is good and you're in the flow state and you've eaten well and you're not too heavy. And
and nobody wants to glass you at the front of the show.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you can get it in that. But I love that. And I think that's the benefit of doing good gigs. When you do a good gig and there's like 50 people and everyone's in a good mood, everyone's paid entry and they're like, I want to see comedy. That is so easy. Like the comedy festival, I was doing one of our shows and I was in that moment and it was beautiful. And in that moment, some guy heckled me. I looked up and it was I wish I filmed it. If I filmed this, it would blow up on TikTok. This guy looked at me. He looked like Jim Carrey. So I said, shut the fuck up, cunt. You look like Jim Carrey if you did heroin. Big laugh. And it just came to me, like it floated. I saw it come into my subconscious. I was like, this is gonna cry. And I said, Ice Ventura. And then everyone was screaming. And then I was like, oh, there's another one. I was like, Meth Detective. And it just crushed.
Ice Ventura, Meth Detective.
And it crushed so hard. Everyone was in shock. And then I continued the set and I finished so strong. And everyone came to me like, that was the best moment. And I'm thinking, that magical shit. That's why you need to film your sets. Because I cannot, if I go, no, that's a joke. I can go like, hey, mate, you look like, you can't say it the same way. The first time it happened was the pure form.
Even like, it's kind of funny now, but it's just not the same. In
that moment, I was like sweating and I was reacting to it because I was saying it the first time. I was like, fuck, this is so stupid. And that movement and that energy is the be all and end all of comedy. Because I always say, like, good comedy, you don't get to choose what you're allergic to. And you don't get to choose what makes you laugh. Like if a good comedian says something, you're like, oh, even if it's about something fucked. You're like, oh, so you don't get to choose. It's a physical reaction. It's like allergic. You don't get to like rub something in your leg and be like, I don't like that. It's like you just get allergic. You don't have a choice. So
like a sneeze.
It's like a squeeze. A squeeze. It's like a sneeze.
Or a squeeze.
But I think in that moment where you described you spitting and those boys coming, that thing was like them interpreting and reacting to you. And then he's laying down chords, there's a beat going on, and then you're reacting to them, and that is the most magical thing.
The beauty of collaboration.
And like, for me in that moment, I've never really been in a band or anything like that. I've always like grown up watching, like obviously like rappers and like listening to metal and stuff and going, fuck, there's something about that I feel like I want to do. I want to be in an environment, like for me anyways, you know, in the same way that you would be like, I want to be a stand-up comedian. You just like know, you just know that you're an entertainer and you want to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you actually get to experience that, it's just like, fuck, I'm not going to go fucking clean toilets.
Yeah, I can't work now. It's fucked me up.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to go back.
Fat, but the second I got paid for duck fat, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like I'm making money.
I can get paid for this shit?
Yeah.
Shit, man.
It's very gratifying. Because I went to uni and shit, you know?
Yeah, what was your trajectory in life like before you decided that you were going to be a comedian?
So my mum has 6 siblings, all girls except for one boy, Uncle Cyrus.
Can I ask, are you Indian on both sides?
Anglo-Indian on both sides.
Anglo-Indian, so that means British Indian? Is that?
English people invaded India. And
Okay.
so we don't speak Hindi, but
Yeah.
very Indian traditionally. And everyone in the family is a nurse,
Yeah.
except for my uncle, who became very successful. He's super rich now.
Yeah.
And there was this sort of perceived expectation, because I'm the only boy in my family. 8 cousins, all girls, 2 sisters.
Yeah.
So I'm like the only boy. So there was like they sent me the same high school as him. I went to RMIT, same uni as him.
Yeah.
And there was this sort of subconscious pressure put on everyone to be exactly like him.
Okay.
And I remember looking at him and sort of being like, I don't know if I want to do that, you know? So then...
Is this kind of like the, and again, you know, I bring this back to the Indian thing, because the Indians and Arabs are quite similar in the family dynamic of, I think Indians maybe more of this, like you have to succeed, you know, you have to be, you know what I mean?
be a lawyer. That's
you have to be a lawyer or a doctor or whatever it is, you know.
And I did marketing at uni. So marketing is a very affluent job industry, and you can get a good job as a marketing something. In
It's hollow though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hollow. Yeah, and I knew that. And my mum, at the end of my uni degree, my mum was like, apply for Clemenger. Clemenger is a big marketing company.
BBDO.
Yeah, you know Clemenger. They have an internship program, and it's very well paid.
I gotta say, the irony in all this is you become really good at marketing yourself.
100%. It's actually helpful what I learned.
Yeah.
She said, go into Clemenger, that's it. And I never lied to my mum. I lied to my mum and said, oh yeah, I applied. And then I just went to doofs and just started partying and procrastinating. And the whole time I felt such anxiety, going, I'm supposed to get a job after uni. I'm supposed to get a job. Anyway, party for 2 years, went to Europe, realized I want to be a comedian, started doing comedy. She was like, you want to do comedy now? I'm like, yeah. Started doing open mics for no money.
Yeah.
Did that for 3 years.
And they're like, what's wrong with you?
Then I started doing content.
Yeah.
Content about the doofs.
Yeah.
Took off. Then I make money from that now. And my housemate who works for Clemenger makes 40 grand and I make 60 grand.
Yeah.
So it's a weird
and that's just the beginning. Like if you keep pushing and the inside to the agency, you're gonna you're sorted. Yeah.
That's the thing. This is the thing. It's like the thing that caused me the most anxiety was me procrastinating with this doof shit, which turned into the inspiration that is my art now.
Yeah.
And it's like it's sort of a rounded thing. Like even though it was a off the beaten path,
yeah,
trusting your instincts creatively is always more naturally sufficient than following the secure path, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So that was the thing. Like my mom's so proud of me now. She saw me perform for the first time on Tuesday last week.
Oh, no way. First time it's taken that long.
I didn't want her to see me fucking perform.
Were you nervous?
Yeah.
I was not nervous at all. I don't get nervous on stage.
Nice. Yeah, because that's like, you know.
You get before you jump on, right?
Nothing. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, it's like one of those things, like, as you say, when you are in that Zen flow state and you're on stage, like, yeah, and it's just like, it's a happy place. It's a good place to be. But, man, I'll tell you something interesting as well. So I worked on series 4 of Hard Quiz, you know, that show with Tom Gleeson.
I went and saw it live the other day.
Yeah. So Tom Gleeson, we had like a, end of season kind of like work drinks up on one of the balconies in the new South Bank ABC area or whatever. Yeah. And I remember, like, I'll never forget this, like, because Tom Gleeson could have been a scientist, right? But he was just like, comedy pays better and I have way more fun day to day doing this than if I was like being a scientist. Do you know what I mean? Like he's got a full science degree. He's a super switched on guy, like really, really intelligent, yeah? But he was just like, I have so much fun in comedy and I make way more money. Do you know what I mean? And like, and his whole thing was that, you know, he even told a joke when he got up there because he's actually just generally a pretty nice guy.
Yeah.
But he got up there and he's just like, guys, I can't believe that thanks to all of you, I get to be an asshole and get paid for it on camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
just explore, but he was just, and even that was like a joke within a joke kind of thing. But like he was just like serious. He's like, we can't do this show without you guys, and it was a nice moment. Like it was a nice moment.
That's the thing. I love the way he talked about that, because that's another thing I take issue with comedy, and I take issue with artists. Because artists always go, yeah, you know what it's like to be an artist. It's so hard. Like, I've never spoken about myself like that. When people ask me, I'm like, no, I'm going to be like the biggest comic. I'm going to be super successful. I'm already crashing it. I talk like this, and fucking, look, I was talking about this when I started. I was doing open mics 5 days a week with no money, being broke, eating fucking, I was stealing shit from Coles to eat. Because I was, and I'd still be like, no, I'm going to be the biggest comic, bro. Let's watch me. And now it's like sort of, the wheels are in motion. And I owe it to talking like that. Like you should, as an artist.
You should talk like that,
Especially if you're an artist. Because there is no security. So make your fucking mind the basis of security. You know? And hearing him say like, oh, it's better money. At the start, there's no reason why you'd think you get money, but I always thought there was, and now I'm making money. And people always come, like my mates, some of my good mates come to me like, fuck, comedy's so hard, there's no money. I'm like, for you. Talk differently about your life, right?
Yeah, well, don't adopt negative language. If you're not going to adopt positive, you don't have the capacity to do it. I was listening to this podcast where this guy trains a lot of athletes and military soldiers, but it's like, if you can't adopt positive language, then just adopt neutral language at least. Don't speak, don't say things about yourself that could become like self-actuating or like a self-actuating prophecy or something like that. But you saying, I'm going to be fucking top dog. That is a good, that's a good mindset to have always. You know what I mean? I can kind of relate to that as well in a sense where I like my first deal for Strawberry 210. I was just coming there as a doing rubbish collection, but I was still DJing. I was DJing in the Middle East, and I went there, and then the next year, I went to the next Strawberry, and I was just like, I told one of my mates, Fabrice, who was also a DJ and producer, and I was like, bro, I'm going to be on that stage next year. I'm going to be on main stage next year. And then next year was like 2 years in a row being on main stage. You know what I mean? And that was from rubbish collecting, and then it was just like, fuck, I'm going to be on a rainbow lineup. I'm going to be this. And it's kind of like what I'm experiencing right now is like, you start to really tell yourself, this is where we're going to go. And if you don't tell that to yourself, I think in any fucking field, doesn't matter if you're an artist or that, if you don't have that mentality, then you're just not, like, it's not going to come to you. It's not, because you're prohibiting your ability to do things. Like if you say, like, I don't fucking know, can't think of an example, but like, it doesn't even have to be like a big grand career thing. It could be little subconscious things. Like, oh, we're not going to hang out later. I don't have enough time. It's like, no, you probably could. Like little things like that. Your brain will figure, it's like a puzzle all the time. And if I say like, yeah, I'll be the biggest comic on the show, easy. It's like another thing, like my mum used to tell me all this shit, She used to be like, when you're manifesting, because everyone, I do that shit. She's like, don't manifest money. And don't be like, oh, when you need money, don't be like, I need money. That's not, you're going to manifest, I need money. You manifest just how easy life is. Everything works out for me. Everything is. Do you go, I'll manifest experience?
Yeah, fucking oath.
Yeah.
I do believe we create our own destinies and stuff like that.
100%.
Man, there's something interesting that you sort of started talking about, which is the fact that you started exploring a new comedy angle that not many people had done before, and that's like looking at the doof scene.
That is.
You know what I mean? But the reason why I wanted to say that is because I think that really resonates a lot with this kind of show as well, because I know a big reason why my boy Waffles over here really wanted to start something like this is because the Australian doof scene is so vibrant. There's so many like participants. There's a lot of stuff going on.
A lot of artists.
No one's documenting it or talking about it in like a way where like, we can sort of give people access or like a window into like just how much actually goes into like making these massive things. But like for you, you know what I mean? Like you sort of came in with that like...
It was an accident, but...
Yeah, because that's the first video of yours I ever saw. And I was just like, holy shit, man. Like Dad... And I've got to say as well, like shout out to my homegirl Demi, She's a massive fan of yours.
Really?
And it's interesting as well because she was like, why doesn't he do Fatima at the Doof anymore? She's like, Fatima was my favorite. But then now we know.
I tried to stab,
Bro, you
Knife
tell me where those guys are. I'm gonna bring my Arab mates, and we're gonna have like a fucking. We're gonna have a Syrian.
Arab heavies.
Yeah. We're gonna do.
I was told by my Arab heavies that don't fuck around. They're like, we can't help you with this shit.
What?
Yeah.
Well, they're just like, okay, wait.
I see it as a business. Like if something like the best way that I can continue. I see it as I'm a business, right? The best way I can continue doing business is to make sure that danger does not happen. So I got to just drop it, and I can change the name. I can still use the joke.
It was like Halima. I'm like, Halima's one of the daughters.
I can do girls at bush doofs. I just can't write the name Fatima.
Yeah.
And, bro,
like Mariam at the doof.
I've tried to fight this thing.
Yeah.
It's hard though, man, because like, and this is the thing about like religious zeal when it can be like really hectic. You know what I mean? When people can, that people are really serious about that stuff. I mean, you've only got to look at like what's going on.
I guess it is because you are.
You know what I mean? Like,
and I'm a cartoon guy. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Everything in my life is la funny la. I don't do anything serious. So when someone came up to me, I was like, what the fuck? I thought he was joking.
Yeah.
Physical danger as well. Like,
terrifying.
just like, oi.
Yeah.
No, bro, I'm gonna fucking stab you.
So far.
They were watching me from afar at the party, waiting for me to be alone, so no one could see. It was terrifying, bro.
Whoa.
But to bring it back to what you were saying before, the Fatima thing. I was doing TikToks about like what things your mum say, top 10 white people say to Indians, all this shit. Yeah. And then I gave up because I couldn't blow up. I was like, I can't. My friends are all blowing up. I couldn't do it. And I was like, I'll just make one more TikTok and I'm quitting. And it was my friend Martina. I just call her Fatima. We'll go to a bush doof, and I just filmed it in my mum's backyard because she's got a property. And it was the one. And it just, and then everyone was like, what's next? I was like, oh, Mehmet.
So,
then,
did they tell you shit on Mehmet as well?
But like cruising the dance floor for gear. Like, it's just so funny,
shit,
man.
All of that shit, when I did it, I didn't know what I was doing until I did it. And the response, I was like, there's no one doing doof shit. And it's there's what? You go to, there's like what? 5, like, let's not talk about the little ones going on, like Dragon Dreaming and SOS. At the time, it was like Rainbow, Strawberry, Pitch, and all these. These are like not little festivals. Everyone I know goes. Everyone from my high school goes. These are huge festivals, like 40,000 people. If we're counting all 4 of them, it's like 80,000 people all up.
Yeah.
And no one's talking about this. So I was like, shit. So I just started doing it. And it just boom, 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 boom. Every doof video just started taking off. I was like, I'm the only one. Yeah. And I've seen cunts do it now. But no one's doing it like me, bitch.
Yeah, like even Inspired Unemployed, if you look at them as like a version of like, but they've even done their own kind of and like when they started doing like stuff per city, you know, like they've got like a going into Revolver in Melbourne video, and I'm just like, fuck, man, it's actually so accurate. Like sometimes it's obviously like blown up and it's really caricature, but man, it's pretty funny sometimes.
I just don't like people say choose a niche, but I've realized that shouldn't be my niche anymore.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that really take from it was me going to festivals, not taking drugs.
And observing.
And then me going to festivals and taking drugs. Like I went to SO and took a lot of drugs and didn't have a fun time. It was a beautiful experience, but there was something about it. I was just like, this isn't me anymore. Like I'm doing something else now.
Yeah.
And I don't talk about it on stage either. I don't talk about drug use. I don't talk about doofs or anything.
Yeah. So it's just not something that the majority will get.
Yeah. And it's not only that I could talk about, just that's not what's interesting me.
Yeah.
I got over doofs years before I started talking about them in TikToks. I just have all this banked up information. So all the videos, I was like, I don't really like this thing. I don't really party anymore, you know?
This is kind of like the same thing when you were asking me earlier about the painting there. And it's just like, my mate's just not into it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and if it's your artistic expression.
If I come up with a funny video, like the other day I came up with a funny video, like I was like, and the vape stuff, that's all, like that's a real thing. But the one that I liked was, I was like, it didn't do very well, but it was me dancing. And that song, Flown and Shake What Your Mama Gave You. I was like, like Shake What Your Mama Gave You. And I hold up a sign that says childhood trauma. Like, that's funny. That's a doof thing. But it's not like, not what my heart is. If I were to talk about what my heart is, I've realized that I've got to start hitting the Indian market. Yeah. That's my next thing. All my TikToks are going to be slowly directed at ethnic inner city, outer suburb people.
That's the one thing that it's like when I saw you the first time, I was vibing with that. And there was something about you that I was just like, this guy's good. And, you know, like a lot of people try to do the accents thing. And like, if you know Bahrainis, we fucking all do accents. Like if you just hang out with my brothers, it'd be like, they'll be like, we can tell you the different shades of Indian. You know, like there is a very sophisticated type of Indian, and then there is that, but I don't, you know, like very like fucking like rough village Indian, which I have an Indian driver back home, and it's like, that's the kind of thing. And like we treat him with respect, obviously, but it is kind of comedic like material, you know what I mean? And so
I hate the way they don't let you do those voices. Like, it's so stupid.
Yeah. Man, like even my fucking, I don't want to say, someone, ex-wife, was like, you can't say that. I'm like, why? But I'm good at it. I'm like, you know, it's like, oh, just because you grew up in a place where there's more Indians than Bahrainis doesn't give you the right to do it. But I'm like, yeah, but like, have you ever seen me hang out with Indians?
Yeah, that's all they love. Like
all they love, you know.
Any ethnic community, the number one thing they like to laugh at is race-based humor.
Yeah.
It's just it. Because it's not race humor to them, it's just humor.
It's not racist. It's just like, yeah, you're highlighting the funny things in our culture, and they know, like, you know, like going to a shop and then like, you know, in Bahrain, it's like it's run by a bunch of Indians, like Hugo Moss, you know, like Hugo Boss, and it's like that shit's fucking funny. Or like another shop's like porn fashion. This is in Bahrain, you know. It's like fuck, that's fucking hilarious, you know. Shit like that makes me gag. But I lived with like two Indian guys from Bombay and Pune, and it's just like, all we used to tell each other is, Gandu, like, and then we had all the you know, the Caucasian housemates, like the England, Ireland, and we got them to do it. And, you know, for those that don't know, Gandu means like bastard. It's one of the, you know, the swear words that you say. And it was just like actually became a term of endearment. So it'd be like a white guy would come into the house and be like, Gandu. And he'd be like, tell Akash, you know, it's like, Gandu, chotia, you know, it's like idiot in Indian, or like, and then we just all start just swearing at each other in Hindi, you know, and it's just like, yeah, it's fucking funny. In the same way that I'm like, man, if someone started doing an Arab accent, and like heaps of my friends always like, how's goat herding going, you know, or how many camels have you fucked this week or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, you know, and then I started playing it off as like, you know, like every time I meet a girl, I'll be like, oh, you know, my pickup line's like a magic carpet ride, you know. You know, it's just, it's funny.
I feel like the only people who get really offended at race
At white people.
Yeah, that, in my experience, I've never been heckled by some Arab guy. I've never been told off by an Asian.
Yeah.
Only people who've told me off for doing Asian jokes.
It's like, I always used to say,
there's an irony.
The oppressor cannot be the oppressed.
I used to have this joke about it. It's a fucked up joke. I'll sort of say it for years. I don't do it on stage anymore because it kept bombing, but it's pretty funny. It's like, I used to,
I'm laughing already.
I've been trying to offend white people my whole life. I can't do it. The only way to offend white people is you got to say some shit about Asians. That's like the chink in their armor. It's true, man. It's like, that's the only way.
I was wondering where he was going with that.
That's the only way. They don't care if you shit on white people. They love it. They're like, yeah, we did so much bad stuff. But did you talk about Indian people? Like, oh. And I go, all right, I'm Indian. I just look like a Puerto Rican Russell Brand. So
Yeah.
Have you and your mates decided that, or is that you generating that?
I did once.
Yeah, that's Puerto Rican Russell.
Yeah, I look like Russell Brand if you got him from Aldi's, you know? Russell Home Brand. That's the... You know,
There's the Walmart version. Like the fucking Walmart version.
Yeah.
You know.
That's the thing, like the only people who get cut, I think, is white people. And it's not just white people, it's inner city white people.
Yeah.
And those...
woke.
Not even woke. Not even woke. It's just inner city white people have this notion that they're trying to protect me. And that's another thing to do with the comedy festival. To break in the comedy festival, you can't be hey, going, bro, what's going on? They will not book you. They want you to be like, hey, guys. So they want a brown guy who talks like this. And so I went to the shops today and I did this. That's what they love. And that's why I love the fact that I'm getting a bit of circulation because I don't have that cadence.
No, you don't.
You know, I just have this sort of different thing.
You just like switch from wog to like the sort of the thick accent.
Well, I'm just me. And I think that like the other night I did a gig at the
It's refreshing.
Man, let's talk about that as well though, because you've just finished a show, haven't you?
Yeah.
Like Attack on TikTok or something?
Almost TikTok.
Almost TikTok famous.
Yeah.
That's it.
So that was my show. Me and my friend Casey and Fergus, we did a split, so three-way, we do 15 minutes each. Sold tickets. It was all sold out. It was great.
That's sick.
But I got booked for the festival club.
Yeah.
So the Melbourne Comedy Festival runs for a full month, and every single night of the week they have the festival club it runs on, and it's pretty hard to get on. They handpick who gets on. I applied and I got on, right? And on the lineup it was me, and there was just a bunch of acts, and I was like second last, and it was great. There was a lot of great acts on. There was like a musical act, there was a trans act, there was a couple of gay people, a couple of good...
And they make trans jokes as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
And it's a very like progressive, nice little comedy scene. Hi guys. So, and when I was sitting in the back, I remember thinking, it's not that they're all white because they're not all white. It's not that they're all gay because they're not all gay, but they all have this sort of tone. The comedy festival has a tone. Australian comedy has a tone. And obviously it's curated because they choose who's on this lineup. And that tone is very, I don't know how to describe it. It's very like, hey guys, so you ever do this? And I was doing this the other day and it's good. And everyone's doing well and stuff.
Sounds like Valley Girls.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I go on and I just went on and
what the fuck is that?
It wasn't even like that. It was just like, bro, what the fuck? I get angry on stage because that's how I am. I'm angry, I'm yelling. And I slaughtered.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I was flying because I'm like, now's a good time to sell some fucking tickets, right? So I go out the front, I was flying, and there was about 10 Indians who were in the audience. And they came out and they were just like, bro, what the fuck? This is amazing. Like, we don't see like stuff like you in Melbourne. And I was like, and it was like, because the comedy scene in Australia speaks to inner city people.
Yeah.
With the same views. And there's the outer suburb people who come to the festival and they don't get spoken to.
The tourists,
They don't get spoken to.
Yeah.
And then they saw me and they were like, what? And that's why I clicked. I'm like, I'm speaking from my upbringing, outer suburbs, ethnic people. I'm not a fucking crazy, I'll say fucking anything. Bloody trans, but no, I'm not like that at all. But I'm just talking about shit. I have this line about how the people who bullied me in high school were yobbo and now everyone's fucking woke. Like, did you forget you were calling me Apu 15 years ago, bro? That's a big punch. And it's slaughtered.
Is that actually a thing?
That's a real thing.
That's based in reality? Yeah, wow.
And then there's Indian people like,
High school's brutal, man.
That's the people who in the crowd came up to me. They were like, that's so true. And no one talks about that because people like you don't get far in the comedy scene.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why it's like.
It sounds like it's subtle racism.
It's definitely.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
still going, huh? Even on that sort of institutional level of.
Well, they book diversity acts. But who's diversity?
But that's virtue signaling, right?
Exactly. And they only book the people who go, hi guys, so what's going on? It's an ethnic woman who's really submersed on politics and she makes quippy political jokes. It's like, they're not going to book the fucking, bro, so I was on the fucking train and they don't book that guy.
Yeah.
There aren't many of those guys because they don't like Australian comedy. They like Chappelle. They like New York.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Where that's charged.
Yeah.
You know?
And also, they don't have any fucking role models. When was the last comedian who was a big wog cunt? Nick Giannopoulos in the 90s? Who hasn't done comedy for 25 years? You know what I mean? There's no role model for ethnic people in the comedy scenes of Australia.
Yeah.
Unless there's role model for brown kids who want to be like the white guy.
Yeah.
There's so many big comedians. Like I know Dilruk, Jay Asana and Nazim Hussain, who are huge. One's Sri Lankan and one's, I forget where he's from. I think he's Indian, but he's like Muslim or whatever. They're great and they speak to so many people. But I've sort of slowly seen them become like, they're like the Muslim comedians for the white people. Or the ethnic people for the white people. You know what I mean? And like my ethnic fans, whatever they come to me, like, bro, you're talking to us. And they're also from a previous generation. It's like, you're the guy who's speaking to people who were born in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the new thing I'm going to do. That's what I was saying before. My TikToks and stuff are going to slowly start targeting towards different.
Yeah.
Because I've got this thing where I'm the only guy yelling. I'm getting angry and I feel like I'm, doing something a bit different, and I think that's more important.
Yeah.
So that's my new thing.
Fuck yeah, man.
One of my speaking about Dilruk, I reckon him dressed up as Trump.
Yeah.
One time we were doing this skit for The Weekly, with Charlie Pickering. Yeah, and like it was about the Trump Russia thing, how like the fudging the campaign or whatever. But yeah, Dilruk in the Trump wig, man.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Dilruk's the best, man. He's an angel.
Yeah.
I gotta check these guys out.
Once I was crying over a girl, sobbing in lockdown. I was walking through Fitzroy Gardens. I was sobbing in the park. And Dilruk, we've done a couple of gigs together. We're friends, but not that close. He bumped into me. And he was busy. He's like, I got shit to do. But he sat me down for like an hour and he's giving me like a big pep talk. We spoke about it. He's an angel. I love Dilruk. Shouts out to Dilruk if you're watching this.
Big shout out, man.
Yeah.
He's a king.
Nice, man.
Fuck yeah, man.
Nice. I'm glad you think that. But man, I find that so fascinating. And I think that there's definitely something to be said about the fact that we've now reached a point where we've realized that there's a type of content that's oversaturated in the market. People are bored of it. There's a whole broader spectrum of people that need to be spoken to. But the really hard thing is doing that in a way that doesn't become tokenistic. And it's a challenge, man. It's a real challenge.
Maybe that's why like one of the reasons why maybe like Russell Brand's sort of star kind of faded. But I mean, I'm sure he's still fucking gigging and touring and do all that. But
no, he doesn't do gigs anymore.
Really?
He just has his own tours.
Yeah, he probably makes enough money anyways from them, you know. And
That's the thing. My way of doing comedy is always like, I will gig every night. I just don't want to be home. Don't want to do anything. A lot of comedians get to a point where they don't have to gig every night, and when they want to do a solo, they can do their show. I'm not really interested in I just like gigging. Chappelle's like that. Chappelle's like, I just gig. I do club shows. There's nothing on. I've gone on my Instagram and be like, hey, who's got a bar? I got a mic. I can rock up, and people are like, yeah, come to my bar. I rock up and just do a gig. I just want to perform every day. And that's how I write. That's how I get shit off my. That's how it's therapeutic. I haven't missed a day in a long time.
Yeah,
I just do gigs every day. That's all I do. I know that a lot of in the Australian comedy circuit anyway, you get to a point where you're good and you're big and you're like 35 and you're like, all right, do you want to do radio? And they stop gigging.
Yeah.
Or you just sort of phase out the gigging and you just do Melbourne Comedy Festival shows every year. It's once a year you do your gigs. But
this is kind of like where they're like, you know, Eddie Murphy going and doing movies and then not really doing stand-up. And it's like, if he came back and did stand-up, like, would he really be that funny?
Yeah, I think he might.
He might be. I think so. I think so too. If he doesn't hold back, but like Seinfeld coming back after years.
Seinfeld never stopped.
He never stopped.
Seinfeld never stopped.
I don't know. His type of humor for me is like.
Have you seen his last hour?
No, I haven't.
I think I've ever seen him a whole lot.
Okay, I got to watch it again because I saw something recently. And I was like, yeah, it's just for me. It's just not.
I think Seinfeld to me is my aesthetic role model because he's like nearly 70. He still gigs every day. He writes new hours every day. He's always working. And I think that aesthetically is the game. Like, it's not to just get to a place where you can live. Like, I was telling my auntie the other day, I'm like, I've already done it. I'm getting paid to do gigs and I gig every day. That's it.
Yeah.
My life, a tick. The only thing is...
And you're surviving off that as well now, comfortably or...
The money's going to increase and the gigs are going to get better, but I've succeeded. I get to do comedy every day now.
Yeah.
And that's all
that was the goalpost.
My dreams are true. I'm going to have a nicer house. I'll be able to have nicer clothes and I'll probably be able to eat a lot nicer. But everything I'm doing right now is exactly what I want to be doing. And that's Seinfeld. He's like, if you're gigging every day and that's what you want to do, then you've won. And I've won. I think it's a big attitude. Like, of course I want to climb the ladder and get better gigs. Of course I want to sell out more tickets. But at the end of the day, I've already done it. I'm already gigging every day. I get to hang out with fucking comedians till 4 a.m. talking mad shit.
Yeah. And your people, the like-minded individuals.
I get to hang out with you cunts.
Hey.
That's fucking, this is great. Look how good this is,
Yeah, it's great having you here, bro.
And talking about big gigs, I mean, this was, like, it didn't happen, but like when I saw the Hannah Gatsby thing and that you were going to play with someone who's like, she's got the Netflix.
You guys know that was bullshit, right?
Oh, really?
That's on you, man. Don't point at me, man.
I asked you, I was like, did he get like fucking COVID?
This big out of Gatsby kid, then he got COVID. I'm like, oh, killer.
No. So Hannah Gatsby. So there's
that is fucking jokes on me, huh?
Mike Goldstein and Nick Capper, two Melbourne comedians, they have an infamous podcast called The Phone Hacks.
Yeah.
Where you go on and they pick up your phone, they go through it and do roast each other. It's fucking hilarious. Check it out. And part of their promo is at the end of the episode, they give you something you have to post. And they gave me, you have to write this caption and you have to post this thing and tell everyone you're opening for Hannah Gatsby. And I posted it and everyone believed it. My auntie reposted it saying, I'm so proud of you. And I was like, I felt so bad because every cunt was like, why the fuck is Dan opening for Hannah? I've got a line on my set. I was like, yeah, white girls are my least favorite genre of puss. And people come up to me like, bro, you got to do the puss joke at the Hannah Gatsby show. I was like, no, you fuck me. I'm not. People full believed it. And then I had to come out and say I didn't do it. But I felt so bad. I did it subtly, so not a lot of people.
Yeah, you got me, man.
I'm sorry, bro.
Did you get a
He'll never take you seriously again.
What is reality anymore?
they've done some fucked up shit on that Phone Hacks.
Oh, dude.
That's a rite of passage to get on their podcast anyway, because they only pick people they really like. So it was nice to be on that. I think that was
to be considered,
of a big deal than opening for Hannah. I love Hannah Gatsby too.
She's funny, yeah. Did you get any flack from that? Like, they're like, hey, this is, I'm going to sue you,
Some people commented like, I thought you liked Chappelle. And I was like, yeah, because this is, if you zoom in on the photo, you can see like the edit on the fucking Dahn Rozario part. But fuck, it's funny that you thought it was real.
Fuck, I was telling him, I was like, oh yeah, we should mention that. I think he couldn't do the gig because he had COVID or something. Like, I think I was sure, like, short attention span with Instagramming. This is the problem, the instant gratification that you get.
At least the prank worked.
Yeah, fuck. Man.
I do fucked up shit on that Instagram though. I do so much cool shit. Like I get bored and once I posted on my story like, hey guys, can't believe this is happening, but I'll be on the project tomorrow night. And then I went and had dinner and I came back, I looked at my phone and I was like, oh shit.
She's got 1 million views.
No, I had like literally like 70 messages like, brother, I'm so proud of you, all this shit. I was like, fuck, what am I going to do? They're all thinking. So the next day, I photoshopped Peter Hellier DMing me saying, hey mate, we looked at your page, too many drug references. I just put that up and cunts went nuts. People were messaging Peter Hellier like, fuck you, how dare you cancel Fatima. Like, fuck you, I'll never watch your fucking show again. People were like fucking spamming the project. I was like, can you like not do that? Because
bro, that's just, you've created so much hype and publicity. Like, it's good for the brand, you know?
And then the funniest part is the next Duck Fat sold out. Because they were like, fuck the project, we'll support this guy.
Bro, that is
fake news spreads faster than real news. Fake news
man,
spreads faster than real news.
I think you figured out how to crack the internet. That's like the Wu-Tang Clan when they were getting out. They like started calling every. They have this on Stan, right? Like it's like a biopic, so they're all acting and shit. But when they got their 36 chambers or whatever, they started like hitting up radio shows, going, oh, yo, you got that Protect Your Neck, bruh? You got that Protect Your Neck? And they're like, by who? Yo, yeah, Protect Your Neck by Wu-Tang Clan. And so they got all their friends, all their girlfriends, their partners, the fucking, it's like to call up every radio show and be like, hey, do you have the single by the Wu-Tang Clan? And then that eventually someone from the radio was like, called, is this Wu-Tang Clan, Wu-Tang Productions, whatever? It's like, yeah, can we play that song? And like, oh, yeah. And then like the big radio show starts playing it and it's like creating your fucking own hype out of, and sometimes, you know what, man, if that's what you gotta do. You gotta do it, baby.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what, man, this has been a great show. It's been great having you here, man. Absolutely amazing. I just had like one fine, like, you know, a bit of a, what's that? What was that show again? Jerry Springer? And now for my final thought.
Yeah.
Now for my final thoughts.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, man, because, you know, like we've sort of talked about a few things like throughout this podcast, but one thing I think that's really important is that, like, you know, you say like sort of cancel culture in and around like comedy and stuff like that. And so like, you know, I just wanted to know like your thoughts a little bit more, like kind of about that, you know what I mean? And how, like, you know, do you think that we should just like, you know, when does it become, when is comedy like comedy and when is it like, whoa, that's too far? Like where do you think the line is for you?
With
like
the audience.
True.
If the audience laugh.
You knew that answer straight away.
It's kind of like it's like, can you joke about it? Can you say that? It's like, if the audience laugh, I could say shit.
Yeah.
I've said fuck things on stage and the audience laugh. I've said fuck things and they don't laugh. I've also said just a joke that's not offensive at all, but it's just a shit joke and they didn't laugh. You just have to make them laugh. It's like comedians are very like, the whole cancel culture, like, I don't know. It's like, that's not for us at all. If the audience laugh, tick. We follow the laugh. That's it.
We didn't pay attention to that years ago. We're not going to pay attention to it now. We're just going to keep doing it. Yeah.
There's always stuff you can't talk about. And I know it's like, there's sometimes like a joke you're trying to make and then you say slut in the word and everyone goes, and then the punchline doesn't work. And you're like, yeah, they're trying to fuck cancel me. People go, no, you said a word that no one likes. And the joke, that's not even the joke.
Yeah.
It's very rare that the joke is about the thing you're talking about. And taking out heated words and stuff like that. Like I've never set out to offend anyone in a joke and stuff. And I know like every time a comedian comes off stage at like my level and like, yeah, bro, this is fucking not my audience. It's like, no, you're just a shit comic. You just don't know how to do comedy very well. That's why. Louis C.K. is the master of walking on the line. You know what I mean? And even he says he goes, I'm not doing a good joke of making this point heard. It's too much of a heated. He used to have this joke. I was watching the interview today actually, where he goes, you used to have a joke about child molesters, right? And he goes, child molesters, it's the worst thing. If you molest a child, your life's over. Like if you molest a child, your friends will hate you, everyone will hate you, you'll get fired. It's the worst thing that can happen to you is to molest a child, right? So what happens is whenever a child gets molested, because he doesn't want to find out, he has to kill the kid. So he kills the kid because the kid can't go yip yapping because its life's over if he finds out. So his whole point was maybe if as a society we just lessened how we feel about child molesters, we'd save a couple of kids. That was the premise of the bit. And he goes, the joke rarely worked.
Yeah.
And he had to ditch it. He goes, this idea, although the joke has nothing really to do with child molesters, it's about like, it's a technical joke.
Yeah.
But he goes, the topic is too sensitive to joke about.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just like that. He's a rational comedian. He's like, it's not worth bringing this topic up because people are getting hurt about this. So with cancelling someone based on a joke, you can't cancel. We make jokes. And if you were going to cancel someone because they said something fucked, that place that fucked joke came from is also the same place that all their good jokes came from. So you can't cancel someone. It just doesn't work that way. Someone says a fucking joke and the audience don't laugh, no one knows more than that comedian that the joke sucks.
Yeah.
And they will go and try again and try again.
Yeah, I hated it that Louis C.K. had all that stuff happen to him, man, and he ended up getting cancelled because he was a funny man.
Yeah.
But like all those allegations about him being a bit creepy and handsy and like,
Was that
sucks,
true?
man? Well,
They were true.
Yeah.
But the thing is, even that, it worked out. Like that, he's back and he sells out tours all around the world. Like what really happened?
Oh, is he still touring? Oh, I thought he
He's
like
had
completely
2
stopped.
specials since that happened. Come
Oh,
out.
shit. My bad.
Won a Grammy.
Wow.
Nothing happened to him. Like you can't really cancel someone who doesn't have a show on TV. Like people say, oh, they're going to cancel you. How? I got followers who buy tickets. You can get kicked off. He got kicked off The Secret Life of Pets and his FX show was cancelled. But he's like, I can still tour. People still like me. You can't cancel someone who's an independent person.
Yeah.
You can cancel someone by firing them from SNL if they're a writer. But then they can be like, okay, I'll just go on the road and make money. You know, like you can't really cancel someone who's doing their own thing. But the thing about the audience, if the audience don't laugh, comedians know. And it's actually like, you know Chris Rock?
Yeah.
You know that bit he has, there's black people and then there's N-word. And every time black people have a good time, N-word's there and fuck it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go to the black people at the movies, N-word shooting at the screen. That was his famous bit. It was the most groundbreaking bit when it came out. It's like a very infamous comedy bit. And it was an interview where they asked him about it. And he goes, that bombed for a year. 1 year of bombing. I do a joke for 3 months and it doesn't get a laugh. I'm like, I'm kicking it out.
Yeah.
He bombed with that bit for 1 year and now decades later, it's the best bit of all time.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the thing. If you cancel a comedian for saying something fucked, you don't know what, in 6 months, that joke's going to change. The punchline will change. It'll have a new intention. You got to let a bit, that's how you write jokes. You just bomb and bomb and bomb and bomb.
Yeah.
So there is the philosophy is like, don't try and shut a comedian up too much because he knows how, where if a joke is not working now and people are getting really cut at the joke at the start, maybe in a year's time, it'll be a really good joke, you know?
Yeah.
You don't know that. You know, that I have this bit about white people and I talk about how white people fucking annoy the shit out of me. And I used to be like, yeah, fucking you dumb cunts. I fucking hate white. And the audience were like, it's stiff. And people were like, dude, you're turning off the audience with that. Can you not do that? Because then I'm following you and it's hard. And I was like, fuck. I kept that joke going and now that's my best joke. But it took ages for that joke to work.
To develop a...
You know, so like sometimes you just have to keep it. So canceling someone's like, you can't ever say that again. It's like, but if you give me 6 months, it might be really funny and you love it.
It's contextual to societal views at the time. But again, I think that's the beauty in the diversity of comedy. Is like what makes one person cry out with, that's fucked, makes another person go, that's fucking funny. Different levels.
100%.
I love the, and to me, I should be offended by this, but I just fucking, I actually think it's heinous, but it's so funny. The Jim Jeffries joke about him being in a helicopter with the, have you seen that joke? With the American guy or whatever, the soldier, and he just goes and just shoots the guy, and it's like, and that's it. You know the one, I'm not delivering it, but there's this one joke that it's got this like Afghanistan / shooting a Muslim kind of joke, and it's just like, it's pretty savage and dark, but it's so well delivered. And then I'm like, man, why would I be offended by that? It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's like the Bill Hicks skit, man, when he's like, he's like, why do Christians, always wear the cross? Do you think that when Jesus comes back, he's going to want to see a cross, man?
Yeah.
No fucking way. It's kind of like
hide that shit.
It's kind of like walking up to Jackie Onassis with a sniper rifle pendant, and that's just JFK's wife. You know what I mean? Be like, just thinking of John, Jackie, and like literally he does the movements. He's like, winks at it, thinking of John, Jackie, just thinking of John. Hectic. Anyway, dude, it's been an absolute pleasure, man, having you here, man. It's been rad.
I wanted to ask one more question, but we have limitations, don't we, with sizing of do we have one? Do you have time for one more? Or no, we're
gonna have to edit this out, I think. But
God
the
damn
end
it. All right, off camera.
Well, let me just quickly.
What, you getting up and just getting in front of the camera?
No, you being like, we've got limitations.
Who gives a shit, man?
Nah, man, we're gonna edit that out for sure.
All right, okay.
100%. Because I don't. I'll explain it later.
All
All
right.
right, we'll just go into one more question.
Okay, one more question. Did that thing just re-record? I don't know. Anyways, all right, look, so just one thing I guess that I was like, is wanting to ask you about, you've obviously already wanted to be a comedian, all this stuff like that. And you said, you brushed upon, being like you were bullied in that sense and like being called Apu. But I was like, one thing I was going to ask is like, do you feel like you grew up in the environment that you grew up in, aside from going to festivals and stuff like that, has provided you with this tapestry to come up with these jokes? Like you grew up in a sort of outer suburbs where you had a lot of different ethnicities, and that kind of, I've noticed like it does look like it has given you ammunition to kind of fuel your ideas for new jokes and stuff like that. Would you say that sort of environment has positively contributed to giving you source material?
Yeah, fucking oath.
Yeah.
It's like anything. Like if you're a funny person, you'll just figure it out. I was always funny.
Yeah.
I was only boy, and I used to make the girls laugh when I was a kid. So I was like, oh, that's kind of what I do now.
Yeah.
All the most of my followers are girls because of Fatima.
Yeah.
So it's like the similar thing. But like being around curry munchers, yes, because they're funny. And Indian people have humor is such an important part of the nature of being ethnic. I think there's something about that.
Yeah, totally. Like a friend of mine was saying to me, "Oh, I love Asian people. They're just so awkward in some of their like not Asian Aussies, but like people from Asia living in Western countries. It's like they've come from such a world with cultural and also just different greetings and stuff like that. So when you ever interact, like I remember interacting in RMIT like 10, 12 years ago, meeting Asians who haven't really lived abroad and like hung out, and they're just so timid and awkward, and it's just like, it's kind of funny. Like you try to break their mold and just make them relax, but there's, for whatever reason it is, it's just her view was kind of like, oh yeah, you're actually kind of right. There is a bit of an awkwardness that's kind of humorous,
And my family was very much like, you make each other laugh. That's it.
Yeah.
Even when my mum got angry at us, we'd just be pissing ourselves. Like, it was just very funny to us. And I think that's always been the case.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. My best friend Nathan growing up, he's a Greek kid, and his parents, I was at the house every fucking day, right? When I started doing comedy, I hadn't spoken to his parents in years and years, and they came and saw me one day. And then the dad came up to me and he was like, this is exactly you. He's like, when we found out you were doing stand-up, it was like, a fucking course. You were just a funny cunt when you were growing up. So I think growing up around people and it just makes sense to do stand-up.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have been in a high school classroom at the same time as you, I reckon.
I was very quiet in high school.
Were you?
I wasn't very funny.
Oh.
With my mates, I was funny, but in high school, I wasn't the cool guy who was like, hey, what's up, man? I became cool when I was in uni. That's when I became like the loud guy,
Were you just like, there's too many bullies around that you were like, I gotta fucking keep my head under the radar here and just not get hit.
I was very suppressed in high school for a number of reasons.
Why? Can we go into that?
Fucking oath. I'm an open book.
Yeah.
I think the reason I was suppressed is because I was raised by women, surrounded by girls. 8 cousins, all girls, all aunties, sisters. I was just so used to being around girls. I got into an all-boys school. And I didn't know how to navigate that socially.
True.
Because I wasn't a tough guy. I was like a smooth talker, sweet guy. And then
use sensitivities, whatever.
I used to hang out with girls outside of school.
Yeah.
And then I got a missus. And then as soon as I got a missus, she was like a hot girl in like year 11. I was like, dude's got a hot missus now. And that's when everyone started being nice to me. I was like, what the fuck? It was that. And then when I started going to uni, I was surrounded by girls. All my best mates are now girls. I have like 1 guy mate, 2 guy mates. So it's like most of my friends are girls. So I think that was an all-boys school testosterone field. I didn't know how to navigate it.
Yeah.
And then when I came out of uni, I had a missus and I started going out and being friends with the girls. The guys were like, oh, you're friends with a man cunt.
It's then they want to hang out with you because by default they think that'll
And then I became myself. I was like normal, cool person.
Yeah.
Because and I remember thinking, if I went to a fucking co-ed school, I'd be a mad cunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be funny, maybe.
Maybe not. I had friends like that would be like, oh yeah, you hang out with the girls and stuff, and then they're like, oh, can we come hang out with you because they want to hook up? I was like, I'm not fucking hanging out with them because I want to hook up with them. I'm just there to be a friend.
Yeah, hard.
And it's just like, and it's like, it's fucking fuck off.
Happened to me recently. I got a really good looking mate, and mate was just like, oh, can you? And I'm like, man, I'm not going to do the work for you.
Yeah.
If she likes you and she asks me,
just be yourself, man.
I'll provide. But also like, I'm not taking away half the battle for you. But I think there's that like
And you're not
immature,
not a fucking pimp either.
Yeah, but
You know,
I do think it's interesting, man, because you know, like, I played basketball in high school and stuff like that, and
Kobe.
you know, I did theater, and I was definitely much more of a sensitive kind of soul as well, and I never really did play into that overly competitive, like macho kind of attitude. It's never really been like me either. And yeah, you know,
So I'm just gonna do art.
it was a hectic time.
I hate people assuming that about me. Like even the other night, I did a gig and the MC is like this nervous sort of quirky guy, and he went on stage and introduced me as, "Hey guys, this guy probably would have beat me up in high school, but you know." And I went on stage, I was like, "Fuck you, you cunt! You come from a fucking private school in the South. Suck my fucking dick. I wouldn't be your fucking friend anyway, cunt. You fucking dick dog." Yeah, fucking, I wouldn't be. I was fucking quiet as I became like this on my own fucking accord. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This isn't a reaction to anything.
Yeah.
It's just me being me.
Yeah.
And I hate that people put you in a box. People, when I started doing comedy, I was like, "Oh, Dan's like the cool comedian because he goes to parties. He's got long hair and he hangs out with girls." It's like, cunt, this is just me being me. I was never fucking praised for this shit. I come in this nerdy art-based comedy scene full of fucking theater kids, and you cunts think I'm cool. It's like, bro, this is me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and people being like, "Oh, how do I become like friends with girls?" And it's like, maybe if you just didn't treat every one of them like you wanted to fuck them,
Yeah.
they'd actually
That's a good
respond to
point.
that. And then,
Stop it.
because you know, I've got female friends and stuff like that, like that are like some of my best friends as well. But I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If I'm ever like interested in a girl or something, the first thing I do is like, "Hey, my best mate, I'm like, hey, can you come hang out with me? Because there's just going to be this girl there." And if she's like out there, like, "Oh my God, you're friends with Dan?" And then that's it. Because it's like, you can trust me because I've got female friends. It's like a normal thing. You don't fuck your girl mates. You know what I mean? It's like a weird thing. Guys try and fuck their girl mates. I hate that shit.
True that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
How long did we record for?
about 2 hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That
2 hours.
fucking flew by. That was fun.
Yeah, true.
Dude,
Man, I tell you what, like, it's been amazing having you here, Dan. Like, absolutely amazing, man. Waffles, my dude.
I want us to go for another hour.
Mate, we could go for, if we had unlimited everything, we could just go forever.
Yeah.
But who's to say there won't be return visits from
I'd
the
like
great
to come
man?
back.
Yeah,
Anytime.
yeah.
Bro,
I live
yeah.
15 minutes away.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Did you say 15?
Yeah.
50.
I live on Smith
15.
Street. Smith
So I'm
Street.
like, yeah, I live in fucking
that's
Frankston,
easy,
boys.
man.
Yeah, I'll come round.
Yeah, 50 minutes, bro.
Yeah.
2 V lines over here.
2 big lines of the Oh, man. Yeah, guys, this is Surreal Melbourne, episode 14, episode whatever you want.
Before we show, do you want to do any plugins, man? You want to plug
I would
anything
love
in
to.
it?
So if you like my shit, I'm performing at my own comedy club called Duck Fat at 161 Nightclub. We are doing 2 shows, the 4th and 5th of May, which is coming up. The tickets are in my bio and the link. Maybe I'll send the link to
both. And look, I mean, even if this comes out after the 4th of the, sorry, when was it again?
5th and 4th of
5th
May.
and 4th of May. Like, are there gigs post that? Anything?
Nothing I'm promoting. Doing
Yeah.
spots. You probably see me around the comedy festival. If you are in an area, there's a gig in your suburb for sure, and I'll probably be there because I gig more than anyone in Melbourne.
And what's your TikTok handle?
D'Angelo, DAHNGELO. That's across all platforms.
Yeah.
Suss me out.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And you know, all right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Surreal Melbourne. Over and out.